Hello and welcome to DCP Live, episode number 165. The pre
179.
179?
Well, it's been 7 years, right? Not 5 years. Math works out. Quick maths.
If we added 2 years, it would be a couple hundred, or no, an extra 100 episodes, I think.
Yeah, right around that.
52 episodes per
That's
year.
Not quick. That's not quick maths.
So
how long has it been? So we did 165. It's
Yeah.
52 a year. We usually miss one a year, right? Around Christmas time.
I'm really
You
bad.
guys are just over 3 years.
I'm really bad at this
Just
equation.
a little over it.
Every time this equation comes up, I'm just like, can't. Where?
It's like when someone subs for X amount of months in chat and they're like, "Oh, it's 3 years." I'm like, "Is it?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
That
take
totally
your word
happens.
for it.
Sir Redbeard? 20 months is a year?
20 months is a year.
Oh my gosh. Well, this week we got lots to talk about. Also, Jake, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me again.
Yeah. How's things been?
Of course.
Things have been pretty darn good. So, for those who don't know, I took about 3.5 months away from both gaming and streaming. I've been going pretty hard for about 4 years.
Let me pause you real quick right there. When you say take in 3 to 4 months off, like from gaming and streaming, like did you go on like a journey across the United States? Like did you completely cut from technology? Like
Did you go
Hashtag
to
van life.
yeah,
Did you go to South America and have some ayahuasca?
Yeah.
So for the most part,
Maybe.
what I did is I took a few steps
Not
over
like
to
you.
the other room and I sat my ass on the couch and watched
Okay.
TV instead of games.
You caught
And it
up.
was
Like to
fantastic.
chill for 3 months.
You caught up on some Netflix. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. But no, I traveled and visited family and stuff. And the moral of the story is after 4 years of going pretty hard without many breaks, taking those 3 or so months has really led to me feeling really energized and excited to both game and stream again. So that's where we are today. And because of that, I'm feeling pretty darn good.
That's
Life
great.
is good.
Has that affected your future plans? Like now that you've done that and you've seen the good effect it has, are you planning on taking more time off more frequently or?
Yeah, so I'm planning on probably taking a month off every year just because of how good it was for not only my mental health, but my energy in stream. I mean, would you rather have a year of lackluster energy or 11 months of high energy enthusiasm? I feel like you'd probably rather have the 1 month where the streamer goes and kind of travels, does their thing, and then the 11 months of high energy. So
Right.
probably going to take about a month off per year, but I'm not locking that in or anything like that. It's going to
In
be
one big block or
See how
like
your mind
3 or
feels.
4 weeks
yeah,
separated?
probably one big block, kind of like
Yeah.
that, because there's something about time off in a row that just makes it feel so much better.
Yeah.
Having back-to-back days to do things instead of just one day at a time, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's very important, right? To break your rhythms. And about how long did it take you for you to realize that you weren't on the schedule, you know? Because as streamers, we wake up and go, oh, wait, what's the schedule? I need to make sure I'm on top of whatever I'm doing, you know? Like,
Well, dude, it happened on day 2. Yeah, that was my first time
Really?
taking back-to-back days off at home without traveling, in 2 years. So pretty immediately I woke up and I'm like, wait a second, this is my second day now and there's nothing I need to do. And that just it snapped. I was like, whoa, it's time off. Things are going.
that's great.
Yeah.
It was
That's
awesome.
That's awesome.
But I'm
man.
happy to be
back to
back.
it.
Yeah, I always feel like it takes I remember when I had like regular jobs and I take like a week vacation or a 2-week vacation. I always felt like the first week was almost like decompression, and the second week I could
Yeah.
actually enjoy being like on vacation.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense. Like
Oh,
No,
it
it makes
totally
total
does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here in America, actually, we have a bad habit of we take a couple days off, or it's around a holiday, and you're kind of doing other stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Let's take a day or two. We don't tend to take time off. I'm stereotyping a little, but meaning in Europe and other places, you do 3 weeks. Holiday is very normal. And they actually say that, mentally you need 2.5, 3 weeks before it even begins to start to happen mentally, that you feel free of the normal, this momentum and habit that it takes. It's frankly, it's a little like a diet, right? It takes weeks
Right.
for, new things to set in. So encouraging people to do what Jake has done, made the right call, because mental health especially is so important.
It's very important, yeah.
I learned in my last job to try and schedule my days off around holidays where you were given days off anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And I also discovered that was a lot of people's plan. So what I would do is I would take Christmas off, like the week between Christmas and New Year's, and then time around that. So I'd essentially get 3 weeks off in a row. but I had to schedule that in January because there's so many people who wanted that time off. It was very hard to get. So January 1st, I'd be calling my boss. I'd like to schedule time off for December.
Yeah, he'd call him on New Year's Day.
Calling it in a year early.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody wanted it, and if you waited till October or November, there's no way you're getting it. So I was just,
Right.
I'm going to be the first one to call.
Hey, good for you, man.
That's planning.
You know
man.
what you want, go get it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's great. So any particular thing happened during that 3 to 4 months that was wild?
Like eye-opening or
Eye-opening, crazy. If like, you went and saw something you never saw before, like a national park or some crazy thing in San Francisco.
One of the coolest things that we did is Kelsey and I went up to Banff, Canada, which like is one of the most picturesque places you can ever see. It's got that like crazy light blue water surrounded by the mountains and stuff. We went up there with our 2 dogs and camped there for 3 or 4 days. That was probably the coolest
pictures.
thing.
It's beautiful though.
That
It's
sounds
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, if you just Google Banff, Canada, you're going to be like, what? That place is real? It was kind of breathtaking. I mean, it was also like we had to wake up at 4 a.m. to secure parking spots for these places.
Really?
And it was like 20 degrees. And
They're that packed?
that part of it was a little bit rough. But you remember the beautiful part. You
Yeah.
don't remember
Right.
waking up at 4 a.m. in the dark to drive an hour to get to one of those spots.
Yeah.
And it's totally worth it if you're going specifically for that, right? And it's not like you're thinking, I gotta go home and work after this. Like you can
Right.
just dedicate your time to that. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
Yeah.
There was no downside to it, really. Yeah, I did that. I went to Maui with my brother, which was pretty cool. My brother and I have never taken like a trip just the 2 of us. Every time we're on a trip together, it's with the family or, I guess just with the family. So this was the first time we realized like, hey, I've got time off. You can take time off from work too. Like, let's go do something just the 2 of us for the first time in our lives. And that was a pretty darn cool experience. That was a good little brother bonding moment.
That's
know?
really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
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 It's good.
And I'm just happy to be back now, man. Like I enjoyed the hell out of those 3.5 months, but I've been back full time since early September, been grinding 6 days a week, and it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm having fun playing video games with my friends again, which is
That's great.
the
man.
reason I had to take that break is I lost that feeling. It felt like work. It felt like I had to wake up and think about what it was I was going to stream that day. And I wasn't really looking forward to it. And maybe halfway through the stream, I was looking at the clock like, hey, when can I shut this stream down? And after about a month or 2 of that, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like I'm going to totally burn myself out of this passion if I keep pushing myself in this way.
Yeah.
So taking that break and kind of resetting my mind a little bit completely worked. And now I'm back to enjoying starting the stream, not looking at the clock, wondering when I can click stop streaming. It's just been having fun again.
That's great,
That's
man.
awesome.
So, talking about Destiny, getting back into things and the swing of stuff.
Yeah.
When you came back, and then the season of Undying went full in. Like, how has things been in Destiny? Is there still a lot of PvP stuff? Like, I'm curious your perspective. If you took that much time off and came back to the game,
Right.
how has the game felt in Destiny for you?
Well, things were actually pretty perfect for me time-wise. I came back September 7th was the exact date, which if you remember, that was about 3.5 weeks before Shadowkeep launched because Shadowkeep was October 1st. Yeah, so about 3.5 weeks. And what that allowed me to do was kind of catch up on everything I had missed that season because I didn't get to play any of the new content that came out. I think it was early June, like the new raid and all of that stuff. And I didn't get to play Menagerie. So what I did about 1 week before coming back was I did some Twitter research. Like, hey guys, let me know what weapons I need. Like, tell me what things I need to acquire that I wouldn't have gotten in the past 3 months. And I made a little to-do list and it worked perfectly. I had 3.5 weeks to get things like spare rations, all the Menagerie weapons, to do the new raid and try to get specific weapons from that. And it led to Shadowkeep pretty perfectly. Like 3.5 weeks of 40 to 50 hours, grinding all that content I had missed, getting all the necessary weapons, led right into Shadowkeep, which then gave us a bunch of new stuff again. It wasn't until I'd say 3 weeks ago that I kind of started to be like, uh-oh, I'm kind of running out of things to do. And at that point, the good news for somebody who plays PvP as much as I do is if you run out of things to do, you can usually keep yourself entertained with just Crucible. You can either do comp and help people try to get their different weapons in comp, or you can just mess around in quick play and try to get cool plays or try to make good, get good stats or whatever. So I was able to entertain myself for a while there too. And now we've got Season of Dawn coming up, and hopefully that will bring us some new stuff to keep us pretty passionate
Nice.
once again.
Yeah. So before we kick into Season of Dawning, last time you were on the show, I think you were still 100% Xbox. Is that still the case, or have you gone to PC now, or
Good
both?
question.
You know,
It is both, and that is not easy. I was always one of those people who was on Xbox and kind of got mad at the people who would come in and be like, Xbox, like frames, sad face, or like, ew, FOV. And I was like, you PC
Definitely, were you
elitist.
in Jake's stream?
Yeah, probably.
Hefty on his alt account.
whoa, I
Here,
would
hold on.
never. I would never shame about things like that. The Church of Limited Frames
I
is
was
Probably in
always
there like,
welcoming.
what's your upload and download speed, huh? Yeah, what's that? Tell me that too. Sounds like that.
But yeah, I was always that guy who would try to shrug that off and be like, oh, come on. Like, it's not that different. Then when cross save happened, that happened during my break. That allowed me to have the opportunity to go back and try PC now because all of my Xbox stuff that I worked on would transfer over to PC.
Yeah, nice and easy.
So, yeah, I made the transition to PC and loved it. Thought it was really cool. Wasn't that great at Crucible for a while because it's a completely different game. Not only mouse and keyboard and controller, but just like the way movement works. The metas are different. It feels like a different game. So it took me a while to adjust. But then I still had so many viewers that were Xbox only that were like, we miss playing with you. Like, when are you going to help us do raids or help us in comp? And I was like, okay, I'll make the effort to switch back and forth. Like, I'll main PC, but I'll play Xbox too. And I'm in the middle of an Xbox week right now, actually. But what's crazy is it takes me about 5 to 10 hours to get used to Xbox again, and probably
Isn't that
about
crazy?
double that to feel good at it again. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's so weird.
you feel like you're walking in quicksand. The FOV really does, and I'm not a PC elitist, like I swear, but the FOV, it just screws with your brain. Like, it's
Does,
so
yeah.
hard to go back and
It
forth.
makes me feel
and-
claustrophobic. Like, I
Yeah.
remember going into lost sectors and I was like, dear God, I don't know where I am. What is going on? I have no idea.
You
Yeah,
even
it's
get like
hard.
motion sickness sometimes, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to spin and it just looks so different when you turn left and right, and you're like, ugh, like, what's going on here? So, in answer to your question, Tefty, I'm doing my best to go back and forth and do both to keep both communities engaged, but I'd be lying if I said that transitioning was easy.
It's
It would
rough,
be much
right?
easier to just stay with PC.
Yeah,
I was shocked when I made the transition how hard it was to go back to using a controller after using a controller for so long to play Destiny.
Yeah.
I really lost the ability to use a controller fast.
when we did the
So much
thing.
muscle memory.
Yeah, when we did the thing where we went against Bungie and Holtz was on the other team, whew, that was rough for me. Having to use
That was real rough. I had
Yeah.
to cheat and use a Zim. I was using mouse and keyboard out of
I like how you say cheat. That's a whole nother conversation, man.
So you obviously like PC on Destiny, right?
It's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, once you get used to that, it's like we said, it's hard to go back. And the reason it's hard, it's just it's smooth, it loads fast, it's beautiful. It's a huge upgrade. It's an upgrade that when I was maining console, I didn't realize I wanted or needed. But now that I've kind of gotten used to that upgrade, it's like, whoa, yes, this makes the game so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that next holiday the new consoles come out and Destiny 2 can be on there with 60 FPS, wide field of view, and all that. That'd be amazing.
yeah.
That's
right?
why I was looking forward to the Google Stadia so much, because I was hoping for 60 FPS 4K Destiny 2 on my TV.
Mhm.
And I didn't get that, but I mean, at least I got 60 FPS.
Right. Yeah. Well, so Season of Dawning, guys.
Season of Dawn, Tefty.
My
The
bad.
dawning and the dawn are different.
My
It's very
bad.
confusing.
Yeah.
It's almost
Why
like
would
they
they
mean
do
different
that?
things, right? Because it's like Season of Dawn is all about Mercury and sun and warmth, but dawning's all about like Christmas and cold and snow.
Yeah.
So
That's
they're-
not
they're kinda
confusing.
opposites with the same name.
Yeah. I don't.
Dawn.
That seems
Dawn
like bad
Stranding.
branding.
Yeah.
Season of Dawn. Season of Dawn? No. It's different.
And the dawning is happening during the season of dawn.
Yes.
is.
Just
That
to
does
add that
confuse
in.
people, I think.
That is going to be so confusing to even mention and talk about when that's happening and people asking things. Yeah, I'll
Like, is this part of the dawning season? And you're like, wait, what?
yeah. Do you
The
mean
dawning or the season of dawn?
do the event or well, I guess these are all events. Crap, I don't know.
And the person asking you's name is Dawn. And it's
Yeah.
very confusing.
Yep.
Asking about Dawnblade as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
how's the new Dawnblade in the Season of Dawn? Have you tried it during the dawning? Like,
Yeah, the new
Dawn
Dawning
Hunter.
Crucible event.
Like,
That nobody is
dawn dial?
mentioning that. Yeah, the dawning dial. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right.
So yeah.
So there were kind of two phases to this announcement, right? There was the trailer, which I feel like, as Bungie trailers tend to do, hyped everybody
Yes.
right up.
Sure.
It was a good trailer, and
Story.
it showed a lot of cool stuff. And then there was the live stream, which I felt like tempered expectations tremendously.
so the live stream is, I think the reason it felt a little weird is because they didn't show us all of the mods. See, I'm fine with not seeing all the stuff, but the fact that they didn't want to go through all of the mods, they didn't show off new hunter subclass, how all those changes. They didn't show off warlock or titan. They showed off warlock a little bit,
Yeah.
but not that much. They didn't go into detail with it, and then they didn't show off any of the actual boss fights from the new PvE activity. And they didn't show off any of the new exotics. There's exotic armor coming, which we haven't even mentioned yet. So it kind of felt like we honestly just needed a trailer and then leave it, because during the stream, it didn't seem like they wanted to show us everything. Like they've said, they want to leave the weapons for us to find. They're not even publishing the weapons this time around.
That's great.
So,
I think
that's
what
why it was
happened
weird.
though is like the people who are very vocal about this, about how they cooled off their excitement or whatever, are the ones saying that they're expecting trials and a raid and a dungeon and like just all these things that if you've been playing the game consistently, you're pretty aware that they're not going to be bringing those this next season.
Can we talk about PvP though? I feel like there was some expectation about PvP based on what Bungie
but
said.
why?
Laying
Because-
the
Based on what
foundation.
Bungie
I can
said.
tell you why. I mean, yeah, it didn't Luke Smith pretty directly say in his director's cut that they were going to have a renewed focus on PvP moving forward?
So they did
And they
say
did that for one season, right?
but they did also say I know they mentioned season 10 specifically. So that's why I was like super dialed in on season 10 is going to be the thing where we
Yeah,
see
the
like a
next
bunch
season.
of PvP stuff. I think that renewed focus, absolutely. People are like, well, of course, things are
Yeah,
going to be happening in PvP, but that renewed focus could mean that they have made like a new Crucible team internally and they're working on stuff that they just internally are focusing more on getting Crucible in a good spot, not necessarily that they're releasing Crucible stuff. But no, I totally understand why the community was like, you guys said renewed focus on PvP and there's one new map. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But see, that's if you do, I think, look at the facts and like read what they said, kind of like you're getting at, Watts. It's us getting impatient after well over a year of not too many
Been a
changes.
long time.
And as soon as we heard there will be laying the foundation, renewed focus, but for season 10, everybody starts, I think, interpreting that as like, oh, I guess that means season 9 will have this new foundation. And it's like they never actually
It takes a long
said.
time to build.
Yeah,
Dedicated
they never said specifically we would see like
Dedicated servers, oh my
renewed
God.
PvP, whatever. So I don't know. I know why everybody's impatient, and I think it's sure keeping people waiting, which frankly puts so much pressure on season 10 now.
Oh man, it really
Yeah.
does.
You can see the community's just
really does.
like,
That's
burnt
probably what
out
I'm
on
worried about
waiting.
the most, honestly, because there's so much
Same.
like if we don't get trials in season 10,
You
So-
say if. You think there's still a
Guys.
chance that we do?
Oh no. Okay, here we go. Listen, this has been
Yeah,
my
we talk
running
about this
theory
every
for a
week.
while
When do we
now.
get trials?
And
All right.
now I have been basically all but confirmed that it is true. So my theory, when I heard that season 10 was going to be PvP, I was like, okay, maybe that's when trials will come back. And then as soon as they said season of Dawn, I was like, sounds like Osiris. Okay, interesting. So my theory was that season 9 was going to bring back Osiris into the game world and he be a part of Destiny again. And then leading into season 10 of Trials returning. And I thought maybe that's a bit crazy, but possible. But then I heard that Crafty, Lupo, and Bandwipe, not Buttwipe, were going to Bungie for a community summit. And we're talking about Crafty, who up until recently hadn't played the game for a year? And Lupo, who sometimes plays Destiny, but for the most part, he doesn't play anymore. And both of these people, including Bandwipe, but he plays Destiny now, but all of these people started their channels really heavily based around Trials.
Right.
So I don't think Crafty would even have an invitation, be like, come check out our new season of PvE raids and dungeons.
Come
and he'd
check
be
out
like,
our
yeah,
dungeon.
let's take time off of my stream to go do that. So hearing that, I was like, there's no other reason they would bring those specific people to a community summit if it wasn't Trials.
When was that community summit?
I think it's happening now,
it's
right?
happening right
It's happening
now.
right
They
now.
just landed
Okay.
right now. Yeah. And normally, just for people who don't know what community summits generally are, it's not about capturing gameplay. It's not about any of that. It's about just going and playing something the season before something comes out. So not season 9, this would be for season 10, and them giving feedback on stuff that they are able to change in time for that season 10.
Yeah.
Right. We'd expect season 10 to happen around March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. 90-day seasons, right? Yeah. So March.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I agree. And I'll be honest, last week I was still on that. I didn't understand when the season of PvP was actually slated and what they had said. And we had gone through it and how this season that's coming up is season 9. And that definitely was not said that season 9 was the season of PvP. It was season 10, which has always been in that March area. So I was confused about that too, with somebody who looks at these news pieces and just like a one sentence thing from Luke Smith a while back is essentially what says that the season is going to be season 10 for when actual PvP stuff drops. So it's confusing, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I'm still. I mean, I guess it's still. That's interesting that Alvin Winter actually missed that. Technically speaking, if they were willing to show, they could easily be looking at the season after. But yeah, I think what we've seen, to your point, is they go to play kind of what's coming up soon, so they can tweak. Like a lot of the decisions are already made, but it's not like they go, that early to play. Say the raid for next September.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I keep thinking, I still think we're so close to the 5th anniversary of when Trials was out that it doesn't have to be the exact day, but it feels like we're close. Was it April or May?
It was May.
We're not that close, man. Don't be saying that. We're still 5-ish months out.
Yeah, no, but in other words,
dude.
No, what I meant by that is the next season starts a little early for them technically to wait that many months, but because it looks like I was looking at their calendar for season 9, and it starts December 10th and it ends effectively about it's in mid-February, the calendar. So I'm not saying the season ends then, but the calendar ends on February 18th or so. Mm-hmm. So it's only a little over 2 months, but that puts it within range. It
does. Yeah.
That it's within range of the anniversary-ish timing. So
yeah.
So it makes sense to that. I just think it makes sense too. Like whether it's day and date, it's all kind of lining up. There'll be a big season, and you'll have the roadmap that maybe leads to Trials. Let's call it April.
Now I would just be concerned that Trials can live up to what people want it to live up to.
Right.
So much expectations.
Good question.
They have to get the loot right.
Elimination as a game mode, a PvP mode, normal now.
Mm-hmm.
So is that to give them time to tweak elimination, or is that because Trials isn't going to be elimination?
I think it's tweak.
I think Trials has to be elimination.
I think it has to be too.
Yeah.
They've gotten so much feedback from everybody over these years of how much everyone loved 3v3 elimination specifically.
Yeah.
I think it would be almost a slap to the face for everybody to not listen to that now. Like I'm pretty sure, especially by giving us elimination and putting it in labs and now making it part of the game, like it would 100% be a blindside slap to the face. Of like, oh yeah, we're gonna make Trials survival. The elimination's just there to screw with you.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident
Yeah,
that
that'd be
when
weird.
it
No,
comes
it's
back, we'll
supremacy.
be doing elimination.
That's what they're making.
Yeah,
Trials.
No, it's Supremacy Trials. It's actually
Yeah.
Gambit Trials.
Oh god.
Let's be real. We know that's coming.
Don't
Yeah,
say it, Jake.
How many rounds of this?
Yeah, and in Luke's state of the game stuff too, there was kind of that wink of Trials of the 9 going on sort of indefinite hiatus or whatever, and you could sort of read between the lines like Trials of the 9.
Right.
So the only other one we know about is of Osiris, which has
And he's back. He's coming back.
which has a format.
He's
So
gonna
yeah, it
be
seems
in
like
the
it's
game.
all lining up to get. Hopefully, I mean, I'd be very curious. Yeah, Jake, what you're thinking. I know you played a ton of Trials. Like,
Oh yeah.
would you be cool with kind of just the classic state of it coming back with some old maps and some new maps, or do you feel like it needs to be this new pressure that we have now? It needs to be all new, or like how do you approach that?
So the thing with me, I for some reason thought that Trials was they had the most replayability of anything I've ever done. Just 3v3 elimination, try to get 7 wins. If you look at the boons, try to get 7 wins in a row. It flowed every weekend. It was fun. It was always something I wanted to do. It was always something people wanted to watch. It was an incentive for people to try to get better because it was so fun. People wanted to play with their friends and have a better chance of getting further. You know, every time I was doing it, every weekend, I'd have different people in chat coming in and saying, like, I got 2 games away this time. Like, my best record was 3 weeks prior. I had been 3 games away. Now I'm only 2. Like, everybody was kind of getting different checkpoints, trying to get closer. It just was so naturally fun, smooth, that I think if they brought back exactly the way it worked before and brought it back today, that'd be perfect. Like we saw, I forgot which one you mentioned. The one thing they need to work on is loot.
Yeah.
We need something to be chasing.
Exactly.
So in my opinion, if Trials were to come back and be elimination and have boons and be the same kind of system, as long as we have 2 things: loot for going flawless that is cool enough that people want to make sure to try to go flawless. As long as we have that, and loot for simply playing the activity as well, whether it's get to 3 wins or whether it's have daily or weekly bounties to try to complete, that will get players into Trials that know, hey, maybe we're not going to go flawless, but at least there's still a reason for us to play. And that will infuse more players into the playlist itself, making it a more fun and healthy playlist. As long as we have those 2 things: awesome loot for flawless that makes people want to do it, and other loot for anybody just to play a few games.
See,
if they bring back the same style,
absolutely,
we're golden.
Isn't that like...
It's incredible how good they got this right off the bat with the adept loot and with the normal loot.
Oh, it's amazing. They like knocked it out of the park right away. It was such a unique mode that felt very intense, and it was competitive, but also very approachable for someone who wasn't that hardcore of a PvP player, because they could look and say, I just have to win this many wins one day. I'm done. I can go flawless. I can get the thing.
A lot of people got...
They didn't have the pressure of like comp, for example, right? Comp is you're either you go all the way or you get nothing. So
What's
also
amazing,
a longer term grind than a Trials match, or a Trials card.
So hype.
But it's honestly amazing hearing like the description of what makes good Trials and how completely opposite comp is right now. Like that glory rank, it's either you get either the pinnacle weapon or you go to 5500 to get Not Forgotten, and then that's essentially it. Right?
It's not comparable though. I mean, the glory rank is more like a ranking system, which we were asking for. I don't think they got it right. They didn't get what we wanted, which is crazy because we wanted what Bungie had already made in Halo.
I think it's comparable because it replaced Trials.
It didn't though. Well, I guess you're right, but Trials existed in Destiny 2.
Yeah, then comp came.
Yeah, I don't know if did it replace Trials or was it just
that's what they were
different?
trying to do. They were basically trying to move it away from Trials and bring comp into the game and give people this chase that was in Halo.
It's so different though.
It is, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think they... You think... Wait, Tefs, just for clarity, are you saying they intended to design comp to replace Trials?
They put their focus on it.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I do think that because they dropped Trials and then,
I think that was just the timing that Trials was like, nobody's loving this, and they'd been working on the idea of whatever leaderboards and ranks, and they just happened to time out, that, right, it's going away, and now you have this.
Bungie has a history.
intention.
Bungie has a history of taking the stuff and making something awesome and then being like, let's move on, and not coming back to it, even though it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They've done that in so many different areas, and comp just wasn't something that worked. It's not an experiment that ended up having this the same type of glory or experience that they wanted to achieve, and obviously they realized that. So honestly,
I just don't think
I think that's what the evolution was.
So much as they, I think you're absolutely right. They said, or they didn't even say, it just starts to happen. Like that's all they're focusing on right now. It's just like PvP itself. Like their focus is on PvE, and PvP is not getting the focus really.
I think what happened was they brought out comp because people were asking for comp, right? They were like, we want some type of ranked play. That's what we want. But then it was 4v4 and Trials was also 4v4. Game modes were the same. So they looked at it and they were like, I don't really know how both of these things fit in our ecosystem together and offer unique experiences, because they didn't really, right? Like Trials of the Nine didn't have any of the magic that Trials of Osiris did.
They took all that
stuff
out. They
missed out on a bunch of stuff. You could go flawless one of the weeks and have most of the stuff besides like a few ornaments.
And there was no rolls
so
on the
I
weapons.
feel like, Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was kind of missing. So I think initially what they had with the adept weapons, they had the scarab emblem that you could chase by just like sitting in the playlist and hoping to get a lucky drop. There were really good ornaments, and there were bounties that people could do to get 3 wins and 5 wins and still get loot. So you could still experience the new trials loot. So yeah, I think they just need to go back to the original thing, make loot like Jake said. Flawless is worth it, and also playing in general is just worth it. And
People
then
did get sick of Trials of Osiris. Like, that's legitimate. And by the end of Destiny 1's life, like, people were sick of it. But I would argue that that is as much to blame on the meta as it is to blame on the game mode. The meta got to a point where it wasn't fun to play PvP. Never mind competitive PvP.
We had
that regardless, right?
We had the meta, but we also had a year of the expansion. There was no seasons at that time. So imagine if we had Trials of Osiris, and then every 3 months, new stuff is coming and changing rewards.
And we also had Promise of Destiny 2 coming up. So there was the PvP meta got more stale and more frustrating. There were sticky nades everywhere. You didn't spawn with special ammo. The first half of the year, there was scories, which I don't want to talk about again because I talked about that on the last time I was on your show. So for a lot of reasons, the PvP meta wasn't very good. And then you combine that with, it was year 3, there were no seasons, and people were like, I don't really need to invest my time into this game. It's all getting essentially erased because Destiny 2 is coming out. And I want to be so fresh on Destiny content when Destiny 2 comes out. I don't want to burn myself out on the old stale Destiny 1. So I think instead of looking at it as people got sick of Trials, because I disagree. I think that people always loved Trials. People got sick of the meta that turned into year 3 Trials and were so excited for D2, they weren't as invested in it.
Yeah. I think it was happening across the board, and definitely in Trials above all, but just PvP period, people were even getting tired of it because of all that. At the time, I was going to say that. The reason I asked the question, just to still go back to it, is I feel like for the most part we all agree. Like, look, like if it's not broken, don't fix it. The meta, like we just brought up, is one of the most important parts. And then on top of it, of course, like just imagine that there was an adept recluse at the end of a trial. Like it would be on fire in terms of. But you get the point.
You're making me nervous.
But like you'd be all over wanting to go down that path. So I mean, just awesome loot, even the not forgotten, whatever, something that people aspire to get that's kind of worth it to get. I don't think the formula is that hard. So I worry about if they've been looking at the way the card works and the rounds and reses, and like I kind of worry that there's pressure to change it too much. And I don't know. I feel like
that happened with Destiny 2, and I feel like they got slapped on the wrist for it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's what happened, right? They tried to change everything up, and then I remember someone saying, I think it was Luke, but I'm not entirely sure. No, I think it was during his director's cut. He was like, listen, we completely missed the mark on that. Like, we felt we needed to change up a bunch of stuff. Wasn't necessary at all. So I think they're aware of what happened. I remember someone saying that they need the Mercy. Like, Mercy has to be in there. And the fact that Mercy wasn't there was so bad.
With the game's connections, how could you not have Mercy?
Right.
It's crazy.
So bad.
Yeah.
So, well,
let's move off of Trials, though, because we got so much to talk about tonight.
Don't be such a hater, Briar.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
We should underscore this conversation with the fact that there was very little about PvP in what they showed off, and that's kind of why we dug so deep into this.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to see Rusted Lands come back because that was one of my favorite.
Oh, I love that map so much. The map just it makes me happy. I see it. I think there's like 2 maps that do that: Burning Shrine and Rusted Lands. I see it, and I'm like, yep.
You got them both.
Yeah, you got them both. Yeah.
And it's because of Trials. For me personally, those are the ones that really started to make me appreciate those maps the most.
But we did see a new game mode. They showed it off extensively. Is it called the Sundial? Is
Sundial,
that what the whole game mode is called?
Yep.
They showed that off quite extensively. It's a 6v6 match made activity, and it's going to change every week.
It's Menagerie.
We only saw one version.
Yeah,
it's not 6v6, right? It's just 6 person.
I'm sorry, 6-person match made.
I was like
PvE. Yeah, my bad.
PvE.
Can I be an ugly?
It's like 6v1000.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's Menagerie 2.0. on
It is
on
like
Mercury.
Vex Offensive was, it tried to be something sort of like Menagerie, but it was kind of like the most dumbed down version of Menagerie, right? It was very simple. One boss, you go in, you kill things. But this is having new bosses. It's having a hard mode as well. So it's definitely more akin to a Menagerie experience than like a Vex Offensive.
Yeah, it uses, so I don't know if you guys saw this in there. It has this bombardment thing that's happening, the same type of progression that Menagerie had of you're filling the bar up as you're going to each, quote, boss room, and you can fail it, it would appear. And so it actually looks to me, yeah, they totally were like, okay, we get you like Menagerie. We're going to borrow those systems. We're going to put it on Mercury. You're going to have different bosses that cycle through. And like, that's a system we already had. So next step is getting the loot. I also, it hasn't been discussed, but I'd be curious if you guys think because of the Sundial, do we think we're getting the crafting system? It kind of would seem like maybe, is that a surprise to come?
No, I think, well, I don't know where I read it. I read a lot of stuff, but I read that there was going to be like some type of, I think it was on the website actually. If you go to bungie.net and you look at the Season of Dawn, I think it says that there's like a, I don't know the exact wording, but it was like crafting table or something, or some type of loot thing. And I don't know if that's for, because we've seen two slews of weapons, right? We've seen like the Saint 14 type weapons.
Yeah.
And then we've seen like the Curse of Osiris weapons that appear to have been brought back. And maybe that's a part of the Sundial, which would make sense, right? If we can get those farm for the roles we want on those weapons.
I'm assuming it's going to be similar to what Eris's table is like, where you get like a bounty type of thing, and you go do some stuff, and then you have another, or you have to have certain components to be able to buy it. Yeah, which then turns into a bounty, which I'm okay with that. Like I like that system.
Yeah. I like the Menagerie system where I could kind of use the tokens to kind of choose
good
perks on the weapon, though. Like I really like that.
Just to be specific about what it said, Overlord in chat said that it says choose which weapons to earn by completing time lost weapon frames.
So it is kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like Scourge. That's less like that, but
it's
that's
like
less
Menagerie Black Armory with Cabal.
So we don't know if you'll be able to do things like punch up the range or whatever, like masterwork range and things like that, which is what Menagerie offered. So I don't know if we're getting that from that description, but
there's a good chance we are, just because if you go back to the director's cut, Luke Smith kind of explained that, like, listen, we're always working on like a season ahead of the one that you're about to get. And he kind of explained that, like, we were getting back the Menagerie feedback and how perfect it was and how much you guys loved it. But we got that back after we had already kind of finished Season of Undying. Right. So this is now the season that they were working on when getting feedback of Menagerie being so successful. So that's why I have a good feeling they're going to pull a lot of what made Menagerie great and put it into this Sundial activity, just because of what he said in that director's cut. Of course, I can't know for sure they're going to have like the ability to put range on a gun if that's what you're looking for, but I'm hopeful that they realize how awesome that was and might put something similar in for us.
That's a really strong point. Yeah, very good reminder that literally he practically said it. Is you can expect those Menagerie elements the season after the current
exactly
one, so.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But I mean, watching the footage, like, I'm excited that it shares the Menagerie format, but also I wasn't like over the moon of like, oh my God, Menagerie, I think because it was the Crown of Sorrow setting and all that, it felt very special and new, where especially going back to 2 tokens and a blue, like the Mercury is Mercury, and I still feel when I see it, I'm like, and the Infinite Forest, which has been infinitely, and the Infinite Forest too. You're like, is this like new areas? Now
you can bust out your Sparrow, man.
I know exactly. That almost felt like the same type of thing, like, and it's Mercury with your Sparrow. But that's all that's changed. No, it does look like they've put unique like areas in, and we saw alternate. They said because of the way you're messing with time, you actually see this dark reality timeline stuff. We saw one of the rooms you go into is like this twisted dark Mercury where it looks like the Vex one or something. And
I'm cool with that though. If it changes up week to week, like the Menagerie, like it was exciting to go in there week to week, at least for the first few weeks. Whereas once you went into the Vex Effective, you saw everything the first week, right? Or the Blindwell, you saw everything. Well, Blindwell, I guess, changed the enemy types, but you basically saw everything in the Blindwell. I guess, no, Blindwell had different bosses too, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one so if I look at Season of Undying, I'm like, how much of Season of Undying did I actually play? See, I saw the Undying title, I was like, I don't really care about being Undying. Doesn't sound that cool to me, or doesn't feel like it represents me. I die a lot, so I'm not
Immortality is overrated.
Man,
More like
I should have
dies a
got that
lot.
title if that's the logic.
But I think about how much did I actually play of that season. I did Vex Offensive 10 times or something. I did the Vex Invasion maybe once. And yeah, I didn't really interact with it much at all. Of course, I got the exotics and I did the quests and I played with the mods. But Season of Dawn, at least this PvE activity has different bosses. It's got mechanics within the fight, which is exciting. It's got a hard mode, so it feels like I'm gonna be playing that a lot more than I was.
Can we talk about the hard mode? Because if the loot isn't better in the hard mode, I'm not even going to interact with it.
I hope, yeah, because in Menagerie it was get a sword and get Izanagi Catalyst.
Which was big.
Turned out
That
to be
weapon is
amazing.
so
Catalyst
important,
was
it
big.
ended up being
Yeah.
really big.
Really thankful I had that catalyst.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I don't know what they could put in hard mode. No idea what their plans are.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that I saw so many new weapons coming with this season, because
That's a good amount.
Season Undying was like 20 weapons that came into the game, something like that.
Yeah.
I assumed that was going to be the bulk of it, and we were going to get like, here's a new scout, here's a shotgun, here's a sniper, and then next season here's some other stuff, like very piecemeal type of thing. But like we're getting it looks like a full suite of Saint 14 weapons, which I'm way down for.
They're beautiful
Yeah.
looking too. They look so good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a whole slew of Saint 14 and then the Osiris weapons. So and then the exotics that are coming. We've got 2 exotic quests, and then we've got an exotic on the season pass in terms of weapons. And then they said
the
there's
scout.
also exotic armor, which we haven't heard about yet. So
Which
it's
I'm
actually a
super
decent amount of
thankful
stuff.
for. Yeah, there is a good amount of stuff. And the reason I think armor or like something outside of a quest for exotics is so important is there's something about playing the game and knowing that an exotic engram can drop at any moment that makes it so much more exciting. And when you don't give us new armor or new weapons to chase outside of quests, it kind of takes away that excitement for me. So I'm really happy to hear there's going to be at least some new exotic armor. There's a reason to be playing and killing ads, just hoping for that exotic drop or finishing activities. That's a
People
big thing.
super hate on me when I talk about like the random exotic drops, because I really miss them. I feel like the game is worse for not having them.
It was fun, yeah, because currently we see an exotic engram drop, and now we're at the point where we have everything. Of course, when Forsaken came out, it was like there's so many new exotics, but now it's all tied to quests. And I know it's like we said, we love the exotic quests; they're super cool, and they are super cool. But having something that can drop in the wild is also very exciting.
I want both, and I know it sucks to hear. Well, I just want more. It's like
More.
That's what I want. I just want
We
more.
never say that.
Like I want more exotics, armor, and weapons, and I want some of them to be exotic quests because those are cool. But I also just want some to be random drops, and sometimes they can be really low percentage drops that take me a really long time to get. But every time I see an exotic engram, I'm going to be hoping it's that, and that's kind of exciting. And
it's amazing.
It sucks. It sucks if you don't play a lot. If you only put 4 hours a week into the game, the chances are that you're not going to see all of those, or it's going to take you years to get them. But it makes every exotic engram that drops exciting, and that's something that's missing from Destiny right now.
I totally agree. And that's why I was so happy to see armor, because hey, there might be some armor that comes out that we realize pretty quickly this thing is incredible. And then that will be what happens, is everybody's going to be excited when that engram does drop, because they're like, maybe I'm finally going to get that chest piece everyone's going crazy about and is insane. And we need stuff like that. We need Galahorn type stuff that people are so excited to do their activities and so excited to see their drops, just in case they get that one thing and you get the screaming reactions and stuff.
Yeah.
Something like
screaming
that.
reaction. When's the last time you saw a screaming reaction from somebody on YouTube?
For the Galahorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been, right?
They happen very often.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you guys. So in the, it talks about what's included in Season of Dawn on Bungie.net. And they talk about what's included for Season Pass owners and what's included free for all Destiny 2 players. And I kind of feel like we should read this list out loud, but I want to pick out one thing. For Season Pass owners, well, For season pass owners, it says there's going to be an exotic emote, ghost, ornament, and finisher. Does that mean that these things are not going to be in the Eververse store because they're for season pass owners? Because I would expect, right? I would expect that those would be available to everybody if they're just in Eververse. But because they're singled out as season pass owner only things, does that mean that like some of these things are going to actually get extracted from the Eververse store? You're going to be able to get a finisher, ornament, ghost, and emote from like an activity or some other way? Or do you think they'll just be in like the season pass, like unlocks as you go level up your season
I think
pass?
just in the season pass bar.
I'm assuming the season pass. Because
there is something in the TWAB that talks a little bit about what they're doing with Eververse and what their focus is on, so we can read that later if you want.
But
yeah, I think it's from the past.
To point out real quick, this season pass isn't the sword clashing one only from the season pass. You can't buy that from Eververse.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like that, Briar, I'm assuming. If you reach 100, you get the sword clashing emote.
So real quick, let's go over what's available to all Destiny 2 players for free. You get free seasonal rank rewards, a seasonal artifact, the Lantern of Osiris. Help Osiris fix the timeline by restoring obelisks on 4 destinations. Unlock the seasonal armor set Righteous, and progress through season ranks to earn the exotic scout rifle Symmetry. So that's just if you pay nothing. If you have this is just free to all Destiny 2 players.
Yep.
On top of that, sorry, go ahead, Watts.
Oh no, I was just like, that's quite a lot. So if it's
it is quite
that's
a
why
lot.
I keep saying that if there's someone who is looking at Destiny right now and they're expecting something to come out and they really want something to come out and it's not, you can still play Destiny for free and experience quite a lot of Destiny. And then as soon as Bungie puts something in the game that you like, then you can pay for it.
Yeah.
But you can actually experience a lot of Destiny.
Yep.
Completely.
Yeah. Season pass owners, on top of all that stuff, they instantly unlock the exotic scout rifle Symmetry. Play the new 6-player activity, the Sundial, which we talked a little bit about. Exotic quests, seasonal armor sets, and ornaments. I wish they had put a number on seasonal armor sets. New triumphs, bounties, and seasonal lore books. Exotic emote, ghosts, ornaments, and finisher, and additional season pass rewards to unlock.
And we can see the full thing. There's actually a bar right above that shows all of the rewards you can get and what level you get them at.
Yeah.
I need to go look at that.
I saw that.
Am I a little crazy thinking like that's not a ton more over what all Destiny players get? Like you get like the main thing there to me is the Sundial. Is a new game mode to play.
Yeah, the Sundial and all the weapons that comes from the Sundial.
Yeah, you got to remember that. There's like we don't know.
And the
what's
exotic
coming out of it.
quests. They won't have that either, which is maybe a
exotic
big deal.
weapons. Yeah,
It's not like
3 exotic weapons, right? Because it's season. Is that the scout is for the season pass? Is what it said.
Yeah, the scout is in the.
It is the top row.
no
thing.
Yeah.
Symmetry.
Yeah.
Symmetry can be gotten for free.
It can, yeah, just not
It
instantly.
just happens faster, I believe.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
You get it right away versus you got to like hit rank 50 or something.
Wasn't that like Ariana's Vow? Took a while to get Ariana's Vow if it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bastion, the Fusion, I think, and then Devil's Ruin,
The Sidearm.
those are exotic quests that are part of Season of Dawn. So those are exclusive then, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But I mean, that's still a decent amount. I mean, all the weapons.
I mean, the season pass isn't that expensive, to be honest.
It's $10.
It's
Right.
$10. Yeah.
It's not bad.
I don't think you should get game breaking more stuff. Like I think it's good that you get
Right.
enough so that somebody who plays Destiny a lot wants to do it because you get more materials, you get more. Believe it or not, those armor upgrades are kind of important because if your boots fall like 4 power behind, you can pick the boots off of the season pass that you
That's
got on
true,
level
yeah.
22 and power those up a bit. Like there's enough stuff for a dedicated Destiny player to feel really good about paying the $10, but not enough for somebody who doesn't pay it to feel like they're totally screwed. So I think they
Yeah.
actually kind of found the
I'd
balance.
gladly pay $30 for the season pass if they just included all the Eververse stuff in it.
Well, that's a different conversation, man. Don't tangent
We're
us
gonna
like
get
that.
there.
They talk about that in the TWAB.
They do.
They do go into that.
yeah.
It's
So
gonna
I
get
thought it was pretty
spicy
good.
when we get there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. We also got the calendar. So we know basically when things are going to happen. On the release, the 10th of December, we're getting the new seasonal PvE mode, Sundial. And the Sundial version that's going to be available is Neural, the hollow voice. Am I saying that right? Maybe?
Let's
You'll have to ask him and make sure he's
go
not
with the
a-
hollow voice.
All right, I'll ask him.
You're
You're also getting the seasonal artifact, Lantern of Osiris, Solar subclass update, PvP mode elimination, reprise PvP map, Rusted Lands, Tangled Shore, and Mars Obelisks open. On the 17th, you're getting Nessus and EDZ obelisks, the Sundial, Olstech, the Sky Piercer, and Save a Legend. So Save a Legend is interesting because if you watch the trailer, we all know this is going to be Saint 14, right?
Yeah.
On the 17th through the 14th of January, the Dawning event is going to happen.
Yep.
On the 24th, we're going to get the first Iron Banner and Sundial Tarzarak, the Sun Eater.
Oh, geez, Briar, you are butchering these poor man's names.
I think I'm nailing it. I don't know what you're talking about. On the 7th of January, we're going to get Legend Sundial, which I assume is going to be hard mode.
I
think
think
so.
Yeah.
Based
And
on
the
what they
exotic
said.
quest Devil's Ruin.
I'm excited for.
Is that a sidearm?
It is a sidearm. Yep.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, geez.
On the 28th of January, we're going to get the exotic quest Bastion.
Fusion.
Is that a fusion? Oh, I thought it was a pulse rifle. Is it a fusion?
Isn't it? I thought it was let's double
As long
check
as it's
that.
not Pocket Infinity, like, I'm fine with it.
It
Don't
breaks
let it
the
be
game.
like that,
They
please.
can't bring that back. Actually, just explodes the game.
Yes, it does. Oy. Most untalked about weapon. God.
On February 4th, we're getting the Imperium Foundation. What's this? I'm not exactly sure.
No idea.
My current theory is these obelisks that appear, you'll notice we don't know
Oh, I
exactly what that is yet, but it's free content. And I noticed on the calendar, the Imperium Foundation, right, is also free content for everybody. It would seem like
okay.
it's leading up to here is my theory. Certainly the Sundial is going to culminate with something, but we're going to save Saint 14 in that. And by the way, I know nothing about the lore, so this is a stretch for me. But you know how we got
I believe
final.
every word you're saying.
That sounds convincing. We got Vex Final Assault and Ikora building at the tower. I think whatever's going on here might be sort of somewhere around the culmination of that as we head to the next season, the obelisks and whatever's going on with this Imperium Foundation.
Well, I hope they've learned the
whatever's-
lesson from Final Assault and not put something that is completely disappointing on the roadmap
Right. What,
months ahead of time.
and maybe if that's what this is going, you remember, so it's perfect segue, right? We got Final Assault. We thought it was going to be maybe some hard mode thing, and it wasn't. Now we know there's Legend Sundial, which is, they said hard mode. That's probably what it is. And now whatever's going on with Imperium Foundation. So maybe they separated that out a little bit.
Maybe.
But is it a new, like, public event thing, or like it sounds like a college that you attend? I don't know what's going on.
College.
It's
Well,
like
maybe it's
you go there for
trial
right-wing
training
think
ground.
tank.
Saint 14
Trial
shotgunning
training
school.
for all the noob people.
Yeah, you go there and they actually get all wired up with like EEGs, and you got to do like Guardian brain tests and
Okay.
Also on
So,
the
I
4th,
don't know.
we get the Sundial Inotum Oblivion's.
His cape looks dope, and I want it.
It does look
Look
good.
at that. Look at
And then from the 11th to the 18th in February, Crimson Days is coming back.
SRL
that's
Crimson
it.
Days. It looks like to me.
It
Watts.
does a little bit.
Interesting.
You mentioned you noticed something with these bosses, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was just looking at it. I'm sure you all remember D1, the Scion Flare mantles.
The flare.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So you had to go into the strike, and then you had to kill the Scion last of the cape that you wanted.
Right.
And all of these bosses are Scions, and they all have different, like one has a blue mantle, one has a red, one has a white, and then we're thinking that the fourth one will be void. So I was like, if they could make some class items around these bosses, that would be cool. And I don't just mean for hunters, like obviously they'd have to create a Warlock and Titan version.
At least the Titan version.
Well, Warlocks would be like, oh great. Warlocks are
They
never
say.
excited for class items because they're like, it's just,
No,
a thing.
'cause
It's
you
just an
can't see
armband. It's just an armband.
Yeah, it's
I
an
don't care.
armband.
Well, the rest of us care.
So I do have a question about Iron Banner. You mentioned the first Iron Banner, but are there any others? I only saw one, and
Not
I'm not
on
sure.
here.
Do they
I'm
not
sure.
always? Do they not always put all of them on?
Yeah,
I don't know. They
think
went
so.
ham
I
this
don't-
season with it, right?
Yes, they
do
did.
it every other week.
But like, were all 3 of those on the
The
calendar?
original one.
No.
No, I don't think they were.
They
No.
weren't,
They
no.
weren't.
It's just too much. Take up too much space.
So then
yeah.
that way we're not thinking there's only one Iron Banner this season. They just put the first.
I think
and
what
the
they
other ones
do.
fall in
Yeah.
later.
I think what they do is they tell you for sure where the first one is, and then they leave it up to what if they need to adjust something in the
Got it.
timeline for next week is Iron Banner type of stuff. That's what I'm assuming.
And a note about Iron Banner is they said that an armor set was coming back, and it looks like from the image that it is the samurai type armor set from Iron Banner.
Yeah,
Okay.
Which that mask is definitely my favorite one.
that armor set's great.
It's
How
a
do you guys
great
feel
armor
about that though?
I don't love it.
Same
I've already
armor's
got it,
returning.
so I don't love it.
That's the one set that I did get. Not on all my classes, but seriously, how do you guys feel about hey, new Iron Banner? Sort of like
I
Old
haven't
armor.
really been that excited about Iron Banner in a long time, to be honest with you. I use it as a tool to level up, and that's about it.
Exactly.
is it because of the loot?
Partially, if there was really exciting loot in there, there has been over the past couple of years some really good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Swarm of
And
the
I've gone
Raven
in there
was
to
kind
get
of the thing for a while.
Yeah,
That
and
was
year
right
one,
when I
Hero's
kinda wasn't
Burden was
playing
real
them.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Iron Banner needs something like a Swarm of the Raven. Like Bite of the Fox, I thought was awesome for a while, but it wasn't unique enough to be like, I need to get that sniper. In order for Iron Banner to be something other than just another pinnacle activity, there has to be some kind of weapon that stands out.
It's
Which
lost its
clever
identity
dragon.
with competitive being available too. right?
absolutely.
Like
Yeah, you
that,
put
that was the big team competitive in Destiny 1, and now it just feels like the same.
I agree.
Were you ever a fan of Iron Banner, Jake? Was that your thing, or it was pretty much trials and?
Iron Banner was cool in Destiny 1 just because there was no comp. So you had trials Friday through Monday, which was about half the week, a little bit more. And then other than that, you didn't have anything to do. And then once a month, once every 2 months, it wasn't as consistent, at least my memory tells me, in D1. You would get this event, and it felt like an event. It felt like this big, cool thing. It's like, oh, we can play Crucible in a somewhat serious way outside of trials. I don't get that same vibe in D2. Maybe it's because comp exists. Maybe it's because they do it so much more consistently, but something about it doesn't quite hold that flair that I felt like it did in D1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think there's a huge issue there. For some reason, like that, I don't know why. It just doesn't bother me. I'm like, hey, Iron Banner kind of sucks and whatever. For whatever reason, I don't care that much.
Yeah. It's funny because it melds so many different ideas. Like, well, it's back that your power level does matter, which kind of was a hook at first. But then after a while, you sort of are like, whatever, once your power comes up. It's the first season or the first one that launches when power level's changing. And then certainly chasing weapons has probably been the only big main reason. But I personally would like to see, this might be, I should preface this. I'm not as big of a PvP player. I'd love to just see, it be more of an exclusive mode that hopefully is awesome. Be it just, why don't you just make it legit capture the flag, and it only is available in Iron Banner, and then give us some cool loot. I think that would be a good formula versus being like, it's control and power matters. It's never enough for me to be super excited about it.
Yeah.
I will say that one thing that doesn't seem to be touched on enough is there are pretty darn high stat armor rolls that come out of it. You can get tokens and go turn them in with Saladin, and you can get really, really high rolled armor. And I've got tons of tokens saved up. It's like I could be doing that right now if I wanted, or when it comes back. People don't seem to touch on that very much, and myself included. Like, I don't even really think about it. I almost want to backpedal and say, like, maybe Iron Banner isn't that bad because you have that. But people don't seem to care. Like, that's there, and people are just like, whatever. I'd rather go do the old raids, try to get myself some high rolled armor.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know
Yeah.
why that is.
I know. I feel that same way because it just doesn't ring something of like, oh, it's exciting to have Iron Banner back and what's going on with it. It just feels like another PvP mode that kind of misses the mark a lot of the times.
It's had a pretty jaded history too, Iron Banner. Like
Mhm.
over the course of its life, even over 2 games.
Yeah.
I get.
I just wanted to make an observation about the image they specifically used for Iron Banner. Because I don't know if they do this, they might, but the armor. So we know the armor. We know that's Iron Banner armor. Now the weapons that they're using, though, the Titan is using a bow, which we haven't had an Iron Banner bow before.
Mhm.
So I don't know if maybe they're bringing some new weapons to Iron Banner. Could
That'd
just
be good.
hyping it up for nothing, but it would seem weird to have the Guardians holding non-Iron Banner weapons,
That's
right?
true.
In
Yeah,
an
they're
Iron
usually
Banner
pretty selective.
image.
It looks like a
banner.
banner
Yeah.
bow, right?
Good observation.
Yeah. I mean, that would be cool, right? Like we'll have a returning armor, but we'll maybe get some new weapons. But
New weapons is
When
always
is
great.
the-
we'll see.
What was that, Fran?
What's that?
I said new weapons is always great. A bow,
Yeah.
again, wouldn't make me excited to jump back in Iron Banner, but
I
if
thought,
there were other new weapons, I'd be like, okay, cool.
yeah. When is the last time we really got new weapons in there? Was it the end of last year? No, I don't play enough to know. I'm just gonna
I don't even know.
feel free to correct me, internet, on this one. I'm like, well, because like I remember, man, yeah, it's been a while, right?
We got new armor
Last year, I
this
think.
year, right?
I think it's been a year. So it has been a while. So maybe now is the time. Just a few items, even if it's not a huge refresh, that would go a long way.
Skipping ahead a little bit, but this is something that we've discussed on the podcast quite a bit, is the power cap. Power cap is going up 10 points across the board, right? If your regular power cap is going from 950 to 960, your pinnacle power cap is going from 960 to 970.
Guys, I just want to say, I called it. I called 10 points.
You said 10. You did.
I
That's
said
right.
10 points. I was like, guys, do you
I
think
thought
it's
it was
gonna,
too little.
I was like, do you think it's
Yeah,
going to just be 10 points raised via these power or pinnacles? Guess what?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
Tell you the reason.
And I got to
happy.
tell you, I'm disappointed. I'm real disappointed.
Oh, let me just quickly say I was happy because I'm glad I didn't try to grind up, all the way to the top. So now it's going to be easier for me to get to 960, which is, if you think about it, right, it's interesting. If you just wait until the next season, you might want to, now you'll be able to get 960, where a lot of people spend a ton of time in pinnacles.
See, they don't want to make a disparity between people having left the game and then come back and getting shafted for not being
Right.
able to participate.
Yeah.
But they also want to
Yeah.
reward people for spending time who do want to invest lots and lots of time and hours.
Yeah.
So
I'm fine.
the
with
plus 10 plus the artifact, because this is the first time we've had this artifact situation going on, or the first time we're going into another season with an artifact, and that's the main leveling system now. Is the artifact.
It's interesting too, though, that this brings you. Well, actually, wait. We don't know what they're gonna do with like a master level nightmare hunt, or are they just gonna leave all that the same? Because I was gonna say, if so, it just makes it a little easier to get in those events now, right? Which probably makes sense.
So we'll just continue to get more powerful over the year until eventually
Until
those
it's-
nightmare hunts aren't
Yeah,
that
because
hard.
they'll be old, and maybe they want you to have that growing power without having to change all that. Because what else are they gonna do? Bring them up?
What's disappointing
Doubt
about
it.
this to me is one of my favorite things about a new power grind is like, oh, I'm using blues now. Look at me. Like, whatever blue drops at a high level, I'm suddenly using it. This is awfully fun. 10 power level. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to think about it.
For you, Briar, and the way you play the game, I don't think it's meant for
Yeah.
you to think about it.
Probably not. But
Yeah.
even if you are sitting at 960 now with the +2 pinnacle drops, anybody who is like a somewhat hardcore grinder is going to be done in a week.
But they're not going to have their artifacts like at plus 50 or whatever. Or plus,
Yeah, that's true.
plus 20, plus
So-
whatever that gets you. Yeah.
So my take on everything is I kind of think they need to rethink this power grind altogether. And I've been somebody who Destiny 1, Destiny 2 has always been very serious about when new content comes out, I grind it and I try to hit max power ASAP. I've always kind of been like that. So even though people might think of me as PvP guy, like that aspect of grinding to max power has always really excited me too. Having the artifact that resets every season as well as gear and everything is a little bit confusing and it's a little bit much. And I don't necessarily have the perfect idea, but my idea for maybe some way that they could improve on this is completely wiping out gear and weapons having actual power associated with it. And I'll kind of explain what I mean here is like each season we get an artifact reset, right? Including not only like the perks within, but also the XP and the level that we get from it. I think they've got a great idea going of trying to make it so if you skip the last 2 months, you're not going to be too far behind. I think they're doing a really good job with that. But one way they could further that is just everyone's literally the same way we had it for Shadowkeep at the exact same number. And the reason that there would be incentive to grind pinnacles is because there'd be, whether it's certain perks you get on your artifact or like an additional +1, they can incentivize pinnacles some way. So for example, you play the season, you get XP as you play the season. You're not worrying about getting a 961 primary or a 961 chest piece and getting pissed off that every drop is missing it. Instead, you're playing, you're getting XP, and let's say you do all the pinnacles on a certain character, you get a +1 on your artifact right away. Or you get some kind of perk on your artifact that's exclusive to those who have done every pinnacle. Some kind of incentive to do pinnacles, but instead of having it separated into gear, weapons, and an artifact, you funnel it all into the same thing, the artifact, which resets every season. And I told this to somebody who got mad at me and was like, but then there's no reason to grind. The reason to grind is still every season. It'd be fun to be able to do the 980 Nightballs and be super powerful. And the more you grind, the more armor you get, the more exotics you get, the more weapon rolls you get. You still have an advantage over Guardians that haven't been grinding the past month because you have more weapons and more armor and more rolls that you want. However, you took the power aspect out of it because it resets every season, and now you have a new grind to do again. That's my opinion. I think it's just too convoluted right now with all the different things going on for power.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
You called it.
Like that
was just my idea. I thought about it and thought it made more sense. I just think they're still trying to figure out what to do, and the community still isn't sure what the right thing to do is either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times at this point, when you get to high levels, like those pinnacles and just power drops in general, are useless because you get rolls for things that you don't need anymore. Like you don't need another, edge transit that drops. And
yes, you do. You need heavies, dude. They never drop.
Well, but if you already have the heavy, you know what I mean? Like if you already have your power level up there, then it's like they become pointless at a certain point. And I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of times I feel like they need to expand what drops from those pinnacles and those power drops. So it's not just purely a legendary with a number associated, because like the chase for just a number each season, I don't think is satisfying personally. I think chasing new loot is more satisfying.
I would agree 100%. I think chasing numbers is satisfying for some players. For other players like me, I don't care about the numbers. I just want the loot. I think it's just two different types of people,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm always cautious about these things, because like I understand some people really enjoy these things. Like I'm not going to go and collect all the titles. I have no interest in that. But I know there's a lot of people who like to have that completionist mentality and have everything checked off. And that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that Destiny is catering to multiple types of players.
Yeah. And I will say that their current system, though, with Pinnacles now being +2 and us only having 10 that we need to go from 960 to 970, realistically, that could happen in week 2. With 3 characters doing all the Pinnacles and trading the gear across, I have a feeling I'm going to be 970 base power week 2, assuming I don't have one missing piece like a heavy weapon that I just can't get for week after week. Assuming I don't hit that bad RNG, I do believe with the number of Pinnacles we have and it being +2, you can just swap across characters and have this done on the second week, which to me feels too fast and a little bit not. Yeah, it's not as rewarding and exciting if it can be that quick.
I feel like they should have just kept it with this +1 and then announced that it was just. Well, again, it's like
I know what you mean. Like, what does it matter
if you spend 3 months to climb 10 levels? Like,
and then but that's when they're changing it to another 10. That's when it becomes. I don't know. But it's difficult because
But you get
to you guys when
the powerfuls get brought up to that level though, so you'll easily be able to close the gap at that point.
All right, so if you did that though, like your whole grind is 10 levels, like you would go weeks with never seeing your number improve. Or you could.
Exactly.
It's possible. I mean, it happened in the previous update. We'd have weeks where people were stuck at 951 and then 952.
Yeah.
It happens.
And that's disheartening. Like, at least if it was like, if there was a 20 or 30 level jump, like you could go up incrementally and at least see some improvement. But if you spend an entire week and see no number go up, like that's disheartening.
Here's the thing, though. You do see a number go up. Your artifact gives you another level.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so, and what goes along with this? I assume that yeah, maybe that's it. Is Legend Sundial gonna be 990 or
Probably.
something like?
Probably gonna be something like that.
Yeah, like what's the we had Masters the top level, or is it Legend? Anyway, we had 980 Nightfall and Nightmare Hunts and stuff. So like something's got to go along with something higher now, I assume, because they're not going to leave this season's In other words, we're getting new seasonal content, and that's normally the next aspirational content. So honestly, it would have to be the Sundial. Yeah. So I guess Legend is the reason you're grinding now would be to do that event, where before we were waiting to do the 980, all the other 980 stuff they launched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, I guess?
Yeah. It's going to be fascinating to see how they change those things.
Yeah, and like what do we get out of that hard mode as well will be interesting.
Yeah.
And again, that launches on January 7th. So you've got, it almost adds up, right? You've got some time. I mean, Jake, it actually almost lines up. You got a couple weeks, you'll pretty much be there. Then you got to take Christmas, and you'll be busy, and you can come back and play it without stress, and you'll be
There you go.
max level. But yeah, I think it's very achievable. To your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the new exotic quests. I know we already moved past that kind of, but I hope that. Do we think? Maybe just let me ask that real fast. It's like, do we think we're gonna get really unique runs like we got with Whisper and stuff like that, or is it
I'd
just gonna
guess.
kind of be?
I don't
That
know.
would be because I thought we'd get one of those, not two.
I'm kind of
Right.
assuming that we're going to get one of those like dungeon-esque exotic
Right.
quest type of thing.
And then
I would
one
assume-
else would
yeah,
be like
I think that's
go
pretty
to
safe.
EZ and kill 50 Vex
Exactly.
and go to
Yeah,
place and kill 10 captains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's going to require some actual coordination with the team. That's probably going to be like 980 or 990. And then one's going to be, like you said, go pick up out of a campfire the thing, and it's a quest of whatever.
Yeah, we didn't really get that this season, right? Because we got the dungeon and.
Well,
right,
the
there was
dungeon had
no-
it, essentially. The dungeon was one
Right,
of
but
those.
meaning we got the dungeon though, and that was kind of the better,
Yeah.
in a way, better replacement for that. But what I was thinking about too is normally, aren't those exotic quests always a surprise when they happen? So maybe those two weapons wouldn't fall into that category. Is that? No, whatever. Maybe I'm looking too far ahead on that stuff. But I'm starting to speculate. I wonder if we're going to
Read the
get
tea leaves.
yeah, if we're gonna get a
Tea
secret
leaves.
exotic quest drop this season, or just one of those missions. But anyway,
I do want to touch on something regarding we kind of were talking about at the beginning, and I hate to circle back to it, but I think it's kind of important. When we were talking about the reveal, the trailer versus the reveal and whatnot, I feel like the community had a whole lot of differing opinions. That there's a lot of people who are really pissed and feel like we're not getting nearly enough and weren't told enough. And then there's a lot of people on the other side who are like, only paying $10. It's just a new season. We shouldn't be expecting that much. And my take on the whole thing is that it kind of falls back to the director's cuts and Luke Smith and what he did for us leading into Shadowkeep. And I'll explain what I mean. So the Destiny community, a lot of the time throughout our 5 years of playing this game, has kind of looked to Bungie with this idea of like, please give us more, like be more transparent, tell us more about what's happening behind the scenes. We want it. We're fiending for it. We got it. Luke Smith came out and was like, listen, here's absolutely everything going on behind the scenes. I'm just going to tell you literally everything. And I know that a lot of that was like a one-time thing kind of, but at the same time, he gave us a ton of insight into what Shadowkeep was going to look like, what Armor 2.0 was going to look like, what tons of different little aspects of the game were going to look like. And at least speaking personally, and what I've found from talking to others too, is it kind of set this precedent that we might be getting this leading into seasons. Again, not quite to the same detail that we got for Shadowkeep, but we might get this insight of here's what you can expect, here's what's going to happen. And I was expecting that with that reveal yesterday, along with a lot of other people. Some information about what was going to be happening, power cap stuff, which didn't come out for 24 more hours until the TWAB, just specific details that we could look forward to, the armor mods and stuff like that. And I think why some people got so frustrated was because they were expecting that, and it wasn't made clear that Bungie kind of wants us to go in slightly blind this time. Because that's the feeling I'm getting now. They want us to experience it in Season of Dawn. They're purposely not telling us things that they want us to go in and experience. But that's so...
There's also
it's
the
so opposite what
the
they did for
separation
Shadowkeep.
between Shadowkeep and Season of the Undying, right? It's
Yes.
like you got to keep that in mind. We're not getting a DLC. We're just getting the season pass.
Right.
We're just getting the seasonal update. And with Shadowkeep and Season of the Undying, we got both at the same time, so it felt like a bigger thing.
Yeah.
I think we've been preconditioned that when a reveal stream happens, we're gonna get some bigger chunks of stuff that's coming down the road, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't reveal stream worthy. It was like, hey, there's a new event.
That's why I said I almost feel like the trailer was enough for this, and if they just didn't do a reveal stream, I don't know if anyone would have been like, oh, where's the stream? Because there was a lot that they just don't want to show off, and it almost makes me wonder if they're now trying to pull back and go back to a little bit of discover your own stuff in Destiny. We're not going to tell you everything. We want, YouTubers and streamers and people telling their friends like, oh guys, look, this is the weapon for Crucible this time. Oh, look at this thing that I got. Because they haven't been able to have that conversation in their community for a while because they've just told us everything.
Everything, right? They put the exotics on Instagram, everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
so
think
I would like
their
it if they did
intention,
that.
Watts. I think it's okay to say that.
Exactly.
We're not showing you everything. We got a lot more coming, and I don't think that's what they're saying here. But if that's what they want to be saying, they should say it out loud. Like,
I agree.
We are keeping some secrets because we want you to discover them and be excited about them when you're playing the game, as opposed to watching this reveal.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion on everything. Is like noticing the difference between our previous, and you're right, it was Shadowkeep and Undying. And it was director's cut. It was more than just like, here's a reveal on one simple season. But the difference between what Luke Smith did for us with all of that and what we got this time, I really do think it threw a lot of people off. And I think that's why you saw so much frustration from people.
Man, I take so much issue with this. I feel like we as Destiny players are so forgetful. And what I mean by that is I understand why everybody's excited. I swear it's like every other year we go through the exact same thing of like, man, I'm really surprised there's no new raid. And it's like, man, have you been playing Destiny?
No trials, man?
I can't believe it. Like, what a sham, and what I mean by that is you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't in this situation. I agree with you that the stream, there's only so much to show, but people start assuming that a stream means there's all this info to show. And I think ultimately what should happen is, you see a consistency of this is what happens with streams. The trailer was the exciting thing. Because by the way, when you cut a 120-second trailer to that music, by the way, you can put anything in there and it's amazing.
Look, Fran, I got 6 amazing seasons of Game of Thrones. And the last one means I'm pissed forever.
But
so
seriously,
that's just where we're starting from.
Yeah. But
what have you done lately, Fran?
But the trailer, it's going to be incredible. And it's like, you fight like a caged ham sandwich. And I would have been like, this is amazing. It's incredible. But anyway, I just don't want to dissuade them from doing the streams. But I'm trying to remember, meaning when I look at Shadowkeep, that's a whole new year of content where this is just it's a seasonal piece of content.
Right.
So I actually think we should, maybe to sum it up and be shorter about it, I feel like we should be a little more open to, hey, they showed us a little bit of the Sundial. Frankly, I thought they did a good job of it. I didn't feel like the stream was boring. And I think that we shouldn't be mad about that. But it's okay if we think the content's thin. But I'm not mad at the stream.
It's because historically we've been conditioned to think that these streams are giving us big drops. And this is
they've come with DLCs.
Yeah,
and we're not getting a DLC. We're getting a seasonal update.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they want to do more
Destiny
of these streams,
has fundamentally changed this year.
If they want to do more of these streams, then I suggest they take the TWAB and do those live on stream and talk about the changes and the things that are coming.
That's our job. What the fuck?
but that's what that's what Division does. That's what a lot of these Warframe, they do these developer diary type of things where they go into the details and say, we're changing this, we're doing that, blah, blah, blah. And do people enjoy that? And I think that's kind of
true.
I do agree that the format could be improved, but I didn't think it was bad. But I don't know why we wait and find out the next day there is a power increase, and so on. And I also, when I watch live stuff, it's like it feels like you should interact a little more, maybe take a few questions from chat. I know it's a dangerous territory for them, but that might make things a little spicier.
Good luck reading through the trials. Where's trials lines to find an actual question.
That's a good point. That is all that it said in there. So it's a slippery slope.
Going back to trials is that like I don't know how much of the PvP community is still left in Destiny, right? It's like because they've been so mistreated. They're
abused.
They really are, right?
Okay.
So many of the like strictly PvP people that I used to play with regularly have just left the game completely, right? They're playing Rainbow Six, they're playing Fortnite, they're playing whatever. Like I wonder to some extent, like, does Bungie even care anymore? Like, are they just focusing on PvE because it's just too hard to keep PvP, or it's just too hard to keep both of these sides happy, or like I don't even. It's hard.
Reorganizing a lot, actually.
I think it's almost harder making PvP content, right? Because a lot of it is completely out of your control as to how things get used and how things get played. PvP is very much so about how people play it, whereas PvE, you create a mechanic, people generally have to do the mechanic minus some bugs and stuff. They have to do the mechanic to do the encounter. So it's PvP is balancing the sandbox, making sure the mode is fun, making sure rewards are good. Like it's a whole other thing that you have to do. It seems like it's way more complicated than PvP.
It does.
I feel like it's a numbers game, right? It's not that a lot of people don't touch PvP, but I have to assume the numbers show that uniquely so many people like jump in and buy and play for the PvE content, right? Granted, you could argue like, well, that's where all the stuff is, but meaning I think that the engine that's powering a lot of this is there's a lot of just PvE players at broad, so it gets the resources, and so you have a resource battle. But what I was gonna say, I hope by it going free and some of the new players, hopefully we start to see PvP become more of that engine where, right, like people who only play PvP jump in and I guess play the Eververse game and buy some stuff as well. That helps power that content. I think that's what they hopefully have been building for season 10.
Yeah, it's rough too, right? Because if I'm a player who just comes into Destiny and I look at PvP, it's like, what can I get from there? I have some weapons that I can earn, and you can almost get all those weapons at the same time, right? Because you only need to go into comp once. If you're like, I'm going to get every single comp weapon this season, you only have to go into comp that one time, get to 2100, and then you can do the rest outside of comp. You don't need to go back in. So that what's the reason to play comp? There's no steps along the rewards. I know we've brought this up all the time of there should be, when you reach this rank, you get a shader. When you reach this rank, you get an emblem. This rank, you get an ornament. So there's actually a reason to play the entire thing and not just, I'm just going to get 2100 and peace out. Because it makes it feel like, I think we said this last time because we were playing comp. It makes it feel like you stepped into a neighborhood you're not supposed to be in. Because it feels like these are the PvP players. They're the only people that are in here because everyone else just gets all their weapon and they peace out. it's because there's no reason. There's no reason for a guy who just likes doing strikes to go into comp and play that. This is
this is something though that I liked in Destiny 1 is that, and this goes back to what Jake said earlier about getting just exotics randomly, is that no matter what I was doing in Destiny 1, I always had a chance to get an exotic drop. And if I spent 6 hours just playing Crucible for fun, after every game I had a chance at an exotic drop. And sometimes I got them, and that was really exciting. That's not true in Destiny 2. So if I've done my daily bounties or my weekly bounties in the Crucible, there's literally no reason to play in there.
There's no reason at all.
There's no reason.
There's literally no reason.
Just having fun. I mean, Destiny 1 was a little different because I tended to run out of stuff to do earlier in DLCs or seasons. So I'd go to the Crucible just to kind of, wait out the next season, where I don't do that in Destiny 2, partially because I don't like the PvP as much, partially because it's not as rewarding to be in there. But man, if there were exotics that could just drop in there, I wouldn't feel like I'm just wasting my time by being in there as much as
at least give us a pinnacle in there, man. Pinnacles are only, Iron Banner, take that aside. Pinnacles are only in PvE. At least have a pinnacle for doing 7 matches of Crucible a week or completing the weekly Crucible bounty or something. Like give people a reason to go into Crucible at least a little bit more.
Yeah.
I guess the season pass kind of rewards you for playing Crucible just by being in there.
It's true.
Is it
I
true?
don't know.
I'm confused. How so?
Because
Just
you're
by getting
gaining
experience.
experience.
Oh, okay. So but you could be doing the same thing in a public event and probably getting more.
Yeah, but I like playing Crucible. Like I genuinely like playing Crucible, right? But I feel so often in Destiny 2 that if I'm going to value my time, I should be working on this or working on that. I should be in Gambit or I should be in Strikes.
Got it.
Well,
We need more rewards for PvP.
Yeah.
So earlier, DMG on Twitter was like, let's hear feedback for PvP stuff. What do you guys want? And, I said we've talked about this before, more core game modes, not just here's a game mode that's off in the distance that no one can even see is there and it rotates. But that's new. Like a new core game mode that mixes it up. So when you're playing Classic Mix, you get to experience something different. We need more rewards in just quick play. Because currently all rewards are tied to comp. So if you don't enjoy that, you're not going to... Why play PvP? There's nothing to get from it. Right. So spreading some stuff out to the quick play playlist.
Imagine if there's a chance to get an Ascendant Shard from playing like some of these playlists.
Anything. Yeah, just anything. I think they should even put a title tied to quick play personally. Because the PvP has one title.
It should be
single
called,
title.
Should be called
Pub Stop Hero.
I love it. I'm going for it.
I was going to go for the quickie.
Oh, that's even better, I think.
It's pretty good.
Crap. Quickie master.
I like it.
What else is there? We didn't go over the TWAB at all. Is there anything we need to talk about in the TWAB, the store?
There was a few things.
The Eververse, yeah, I got to hear the Briar on this, man.
Hey, I want to talk about how you can't get repeat guns from Xur anymore in the Faded Engram. You're only going to get
that's a big
armor
deal.
now. Boom.
That's nice.
It's good.
That's huge.
Good,
I'm sick of going and spending 97 shards to get a damn risk runner. Like, thank God.
There was if we just run through the trial, we might as well go in order. There's not a ton to talk about, but I think there's important stuff that we need to bring up.
There is.
So something that they did do is they posted 3 clips on Twitter showing off the new solar abilities for Hunter.
Loved it.
So they showed off that you can throw your knife to the wall and it stays there as a trap. And they put down a trip mine and this knife to kind of get a kill coming through. They showed the new perk, which is Knock 'em Down, which makes Golden Gun do more damage, right? Does anyone remember specifically what Knock 'em Down was? Frank,
yeah, I had it. It's funny. I had it pulled up right here for that
Fran,
reason. Knock 'em Down is precision final blows, increase weapon stability and ADS speed, and the timer starts at 10 seconds, but any additional final blow assists can increase up to 25 seconds, and then casting your super with that buff above 20 seconds consumes the buff, which grants you extra damage. Which is pretty much
which is pretty crazy because they showed someone on patrol killing the walker and hitting the precision shot on the walker, and it increasingly went higher and higher damage, and the final damage number that it showed on the walker was 139,324.
Damn.
So it pumps out some serious damage, which is
good.
Cool for PvE stuff.
Yeah.
And then they finally showed the knife, which is the one-shot precision hit knife. And we were talking about, what is that wind-up? What does it mean? Are we gonna have to hold it? No, it's just a different animation.
Yeah, it kind of just
it's a slower animation. Instead of just like immediate throw, it's a new animation.
Yeah, when you do the knife
twirl,
twirl,
a bit longer to come out.
The knife twirl activates space magic, which imbues it with high damage, and then one-shot kills stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
that adds up.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
that seems legit.
Yeah.
The animation is really cool. I would not have described it as a wind-up. I would have said this knife has a slightly longer animation.
It looks badass.
Not really a wind-up.
I can't wait.
It looks
It
badass.
does.
I can't wait to try it.
Really badass.
Yeah. I think I'm really gonna focus on Hunter this season.
Same.
For the first time, I think it might be time.
Hey, you don't know what that.
You think
don't know what that artifact says yet. I saw a nice little solar fist on there. It looks like we're gonna have a Thunder Coil 2.0, and it's gonna be all for solar. I bet.
Yeah,
And
I did
it's gonna
want
be
to check
those
out the new
damn-
hammer for Titan too.
That spinny Titan hammer is gonna destroy all of
yeah.
us. It's gonna be bad. I'm calling it's gonna be.
I'm
People are gonna
scared.
die.
I'm very scared.
Yeah, that thing hits you from so far away. You can be in Mars and it'll still hit you from the ground. It's got the most ridiculous thing already, and they're buffing it. The other stuff that they did, so they're increasing the drop rate of the Scourge of the Past raid exotic, Anarchy. From
That's
5
huge.
to 10%. So it's still pretty
Double
low.
the
10%
drop rates, though.
chance. It is
Yeah.
double, but it's still pretty low.
But I've heard so many stories of people that I'm like, I don't know that I believe that it was 5%. I mean, I guess it was. It's just not a ton of people are running it, even though a lot of people are trying, but at large. But anyway, twice as good chances. It took me 29 runs to get it. I know some people it took a lot more, but some people got it on the first try, obviously. But anyway, that's huge news because it's still a very viable gun, right? It's not like some old gun that you just want to put in your collection. You should grab Anarchy. It's great for PvE work in particular.
Yeah, it's been a solid gun. The next thing is the exotic engram and the faded engram have been collapsed into a single new exotic engram item. When opened, it awards a new exotic if any remain to be collected. Otherwise, it contains a random piece of exotic armor, which is what Jake brought up, which is huge because then it makes it much more viable for you to actually farm for the roles that you want on exotic armor.
I like that.
There's a power cap increase. Fran, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, that mean you only get one of those a week? Because it's they're rolled together.
It does say.
You know what I mean? Faded,
when I
you
first
can only
read
get
that,
one
I
a
was
week.
like,
Oh, wow. You think you
You
can
know what I
spend
mean?
100
Engram
shards
is
just
faded.
over and over and over and over trying to get the armor you want?
I don't think you can do that, right? So it's probably just that.
Bungie
Hey,
does
we'll
like
see.
stealing all of our resources.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe.
Anyway.
They're like, you can do this as much as you want.
If anybody needs a loan,
Until you're broke.
I'm still
How
swimming
much
in
do you have,
shards.
dude?
10,000
How much?
right now. 10,000.
I have 17,000, sir.
Okay,
So.
nice.
Come to me if you need a loan, okay?
Do we? Well, I'm saying
Big
maybe we
dick and
could
shards.
make like some sort of mutual fund or something. You know, like start getting some.
There you go.
investment.
Yeah, we can combine forces
Yeah.
here. Okay. I like this.
We went over the power cap and pinnacle reward cap already. The next thing is Escalation Protocol. The Wave 7 chest no longer requires a key to open. Chest can be opened upon every successful completion of Wave 7. Each time opening the chest awards one piece of EP armor for your character class until you have the full set. And after the full set is acquired, subsequent opening of the chest awards a random piece of armor.
Are these going to
I
award
think it's great.
2.0 now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Escalation Protocol
Nice.
2.0?
So
This
you
is
can
actually
just
kind of
go-
cool because I go
It is
there
pretty
all
cool.
the time to farm stuff. And often I'll be like, well, this whole group of people is just playing. So I
Yeah.
might as well get all the way to 7.
Same. I do the same thing. I'm like, well, I could just do
Here.
it.
Fuck it.
Yeah, now you're not going to think, crap, I don't have a key. You can just open
Right.
the chest.
Yeah, and you're like guaranteed a full set by playing.
Yeah.
Versus like
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that
know, I
armor
want
is
to play
cool.
this 20 times. Yeah,
It is.
I'm
Yeah, a
pretty
lot
excited.
of people love that armor. So that's really good that they're doing that. They did say that the charged decryption keys and key fragments are being removed, so they're going to be taken out of your inventory.
Good.
But the keys to spawn the Valkyrie Javelin is unchanged. They're not taking that out. And the EP weapon drops are remaining the same. So same stuff you can expect from that.
That's a nice
Weapon.
change. I like that. I've always
It's
liked
good.
the Escalation Protocol. I'm glad it's just
a
like
good
a little more
activity.
convenient to do it now. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
encouraging. Yeah, like you said, just when you're around, it was discouraging. Be like, I don't think I have a key, and like, what am I gonna get anyway? Like now, right after reading that, I was like, oh, I'll finish the events. Like just till I at least get a full
inevitably-
set.
Yeah.
There's no barrier anymore.
Inevitably, you're gonna have some sort of quest that comes up where you got to farm some sort of elites or yellow bars. And you're like, Escalation
Right.
Protocol is all right. Let's just finish out. Go to level 7. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's good. The next one's big. Weapon mods. The cost of slotting a weapon mod has been reduced from 5,000 to 500. Glimmer.
500.
Thank you.
That's a big
So happy.
decrease. That's a Black Friday 90% decrease.
Hell yeah.
It is. That's a
Cyber
sale.
Guardian
Yeah.
Monday. I'm personally super excited, just because it's encouraging to try different mods now without going broke. And I know they have to have an economy, but I hope that was the goal, is to get people really experimenting without this barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
I've
guys
been
think?
perpetually broke for the last 2 months. you know?
Yeah. Too much. And too often I hesitate. I'm like, I'm not going to apply this mod right now. Like, I'm not sure. And it's just, this is going to be awesome. I'm genuinely very excited that it's a much lower barrier to just try
Yeah.
different mods. Because it's about building, not being broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially with new mods, right? Everyone wants to experiment with stuff, so having it be cheap is great.
Yeah.
So beginning of a season, we're all going to be experimenting with stuff.
Yep. What else
Next,
was
we're moving
big in
on to bounties. Repeatable bounties have been added to the gunsmith because he did not have repeatable bounties, so now you can do
You
that.
didn't? No kidding.
Yeah, he did not. Merged Strike, Crucible, and Gambit objectives for the weekly bounty field calibration from the Gunsmith.
Do you think the Gunsmith, those repeatable bounties, are going to offer Masterwork cores?
They might
I would
offer
assume so,
something,
but
yeah.
what's the
I
point of
know.
having them otherwise? I don't know. Just bright dust
Bright
again?
dust.
5 bright dust? 5 and 10 bright dust?
I mean, that's actually huge if you're able to
I think so.
just convert
Okay.
Glimmer into bounties for Masterwork cores.
I take it back. Probably not then. It's probably going to be bright dust.
You think?
But we'll see.
I hope.
I think there's a chance it won't be, but probably is just going to be bright dust.
Yeah. All right.
So this bounty, I don't know about you guys. I picked it up, finished the Crucible part, finished the Strike part, and then I'm like, oh, I need to do Gambit. Well, guess I'm never completing this bounty.
Yeah,
Maybe
hard
next
pass.
week. Maybe next week. So now you can do all of it in Crucible, all of it in Strikes, or all of it in Gambit. And you can
That's
get
nice.
It is nice. They removed the Valor/Infamy and Vanguard tokens from field calibration, and there is no longer a requirement for any of these linked activities. Sure. Sounds fine. Added new mode-specific daily Crucible bounties, 1 per day, selected from full-time playlists and active rotators, which is nice because it's a way of like populating different playlists.
Yeah, that's smart.
Never going to be a
Gotta
bad
get that supremacy bounty. I know you've been waiting, Watts.
I would much rather see bounties like that than go get 10 scout rifle kills in the Crucible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, just going in a mode, it is nice.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know it's not get 10 scout rifle kills?
Kills in control.
Supremacy.
10 rounds get in countdown.
Supremacy,
They reduced the completion requirements of several daily and repeatable Crucible bounties, so they're going to be faster to do. And they also removed grenade and melee bounties from the Crucible bounty repeatable pool. Because those are annoying. And take
Yes, they were.
they're just annoying.
I think. Do you think it was because it made some of the gameplay annoying, right? Like people would be doing them, or do you think they were annoying to do?
They were
You know
just
what I mean?
going to do,
Both,
man.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they were.
as somebody who would play Crucible for like 10 hours doing comp runs or whatever, I would go to the tower and keep cycling these bounties, and most of them would take 1 or 2 games. Then I'd realize, oh, I'm at 3 of 10 grenade kills for the past 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to play this for 15 more hours if I'm going to end up getting this. Like, I play Hunter, and it's like, I never get grenade kills on my damn Hunter.
Same.
And you
Yeah,
can always
whatever
tell when
reason.
you got somebody on your team who's trying to go after something like that because they're completely sacrificing their own life to just try and get melee kills in the Crucible or just try and get grenade kills in the Crucible. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to win because
Right.
our team is, basically carrying this chump.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, it'll be nice to not have to like change your entire build just to try to get another grenade or melee hit out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Watts is just stepping aside for a sec, so I will read this. Striker, Code of the Missile, Middle Path, they are increasing damage on that. How about you Titan fans? The base damage 2,700 going up to 3,200, and then the in-flight damage is double now, but up to 200 from 100. And then they suddenly increase the amount of time that you have in air. Was anybody a big fan of Code of the Missile?
I know a
I
lot
don't
of
think
not
I've
a
ever
Titan
used
fan.
that super once.
Yeah, I've used it. It's fun to fly
I know
through the
people
air
who
like
love it.
that, but it's not been. I mean, the bottom tree has always been just so fucking powerful that
There's been some
Yeah, why
Titans
not
who
use
have
it?
been utilizing it for very specific moments, and it's very effective. So the fact that it's
cool
going
when
up,
people make plays like that.
yeah, the fact that it's going up in
Yeah.
damage is kind of surprising because it already does.
Yeah, I was
a
surprised-
ton of damage.
Too, yeah. I think Bandwipe is a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing about it from him, and I was like, that sounds really powerful. And so it's just going to get better. So that's exciting. But, maybe you're going to have to fight off all these new solar abilities. So I don't know.
Yeah, right. I'm really curious as to why they thought it needed more damage, though.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm super curious by that too. I mean, it's not going to do anything in PvP. I guess they're trying to make it more used in PvE. Most people are just using normal
yeah.
smashes and not
It's a good
doing
point.
the missile.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it's a good call. It's probably more on that.
Yeah.
Because in-flight damage being up, when you really think about it, like, how often are you going to nail somebody in midair in PvP? Although
Yeah.
that's got to make for a cool clip.
I guess what they just see is we have a really cool middle tree on this Arc Titan that we are not seeing enough of in PvE, and we got to try to somehow figure out a way for people to use this more often.
that's valid.
Makes sense.
But even in high level content, you're gonna code of the missile into an enemy that's not gonna die because it's not gonna make everything one shot, obviously, and then they're gonna stomp, and then you're gonna die to the stomp.
Yeah.
No, you melee right after, man. Come on, the strats.
No, but it's high level content, so you're gonna die from that melee.
From the stomp
From the
itself?
stomp,
Okay.
right?
Fair enough.
In regular strikes, lots of stuff will die from that.
We need a code.
I can see if you have 2 Titans, you got 1 rock and bubble, and you got 1 rock and code. Maybe that's going to be the best way to make damage happen in high level content. You get 1 with weapons of light for everyone. You get 1 code of the missile, and it's just like an instant you're done. Then you can go back to doing damage with your weapons.
I dig it.
I don't know. Could happen.
You
New meta.
missile out of the bubble.
Maybe you have weapons of
It's
light.
like a
on your
launch
missile.
pad.
Yeah. Look, you're in the bubble. You
Like
missile out of it.
Canaveral.
Yeah, I like it.
They made a quick adjustment to the bottom path of Night Stalker with Pathfinder. Just with the Vanish and Smoke, they, after a short period, 0.8 seconds, after the invisibility is applied, where you're firing weapons or doing other things, that it won't break invisibility during that. And so they basically, you'd throw it down and your teammates would get it and wouldn't realize it and would break out of it immediately. So I think they're trying to adjust that primarily.
Yeah, it's nice to just be like, if you want to be invisible, here you are. You can use this to position yourself or do whatever you want to do. If you don't, you can shoot. But the way that it is now, you throw it down, everyone just breaks it immediately because they don't know what's coming. And you're not going to time it for that, right? So
Yeah.
Do you want to finish up the rest, though, Watts? With
sure.
the 2
You can
minute
skip the
fishing?
Warlock. Nobody cares.
The handheld supernova? Come on.
Handheld Supernova has been increased damage by 50% in Crucible, and grenade cooldown has been lowered.
Thank God.
Right.
This is to combat the Hunter throwing knife.
You
So-
get 3 nades as well
Yeah.
if you use this.
and with the new exotic armor that's coming, you get 4.
There's going to be people listening that are like, wait, what the frick is happening? What's actually
No,
happening?
all they're doing is they're adjusting grenade charge time so it lines up with the animation and effects. This should make it feel more consistent to activate.
They've been doing a lot of this.
What's funny about this is people are freaking out about handheld supernova, and I'm kind of one of them who just despises it. And I read that there's a handheld supernova adjustment happening, and I'm so
You're
excited.
freaking
And I read the sentence, and I'm like, wait, they're making it easier to use, actually. They're trying to make it so it's more consistent for the user.
Yeah.
It's not going to look any different to you if you're getting attacked by it, but they're trying to make it a little bit easier on the user of handheld supernova now. I'm like,
Warlocks
what?
everywhere were saying this is way too hard. Listen, this is inconsistent,
clearly.
unbelievable.
Our Warlock brethren are special. They're a little behind the curve, and we need to make it a little easier on them.
Moving to Crucible maps, they've added Rusted Lands to appropriate playlists, and they are adding back Dead Cliffs, Regions Gulch, Retribution, and Solitude to appropriate playlists. Now, what they did is they took them away and they said that they adjusted them, whether that's, where spawns are, where heavy ammo is, whatever they needed to do. They made changes, and now they're bringing these back.
Good. Gross. What? Sorry.
Well, check this. This is what I wanted to hear initially when they said they were removing maps, because they're removing Emperor's Respite, Equinox, Firebase Echo, and Vostok from all Crucible playlists.
Yes.
Bing, 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 bing,
Thank
bing.
goodness.
That's what I wanted. That is what I wanted.
The only
everybody
time
wanted.
I actually enjoyed Vostok when I was forced to get scout rifle kills. And the
Right.
map would pop up and I'd be like, okay, all right, we'll use the scout
Stephanie's
rifle.
like, where's the window?
Yeah, I'm going to go to that
Pretty
tower
much.
and just watch.
Whip out the Jade Rabbit and just camp.
I don't know what it is about people in windows. Every time there's a window somewhere on a map, people will just go there and they will not move.
There's less of you to get shot, but you can still see everybody from the window.
True.
There you go. That's why people
That's
go
big
there.
brain.
I hate it.
I like
hate
them
it.
because I like
Although I
putting
like killing them.
grenades through windows, like playing basketball.
I like just going up behind them and they're like, they have no idea because, the window's in front of them, not
Because they're
behind them. They don't,
scooped in through the
yeah,
window.
they don't know what's going on behind them. There's not a window over there. The next stuff is about Eververse. Briar, did you want to read it for your live reaction to Eververse news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really. I really don't want to interact with Eververse even that much, to be honest.
I can read it. You can react.
Okay, go ahead.
The past couple seasons of Destiny have brought a lot of change to the Eververse as we look to how we support Destiny on our own as an evolving world. Today, we'd like to talk about some of what we've heard from you from Season of Undying and outline how your feedback is going to impact Season of Dawn. Silver-only content. Offering some amount of Eververse content for Silver only is part of ensuring that we are able to fund our ability to keep creating and maintaining Destiny and supporting the team that makes Destiny. That said, we agree with you that we'd also like to see a higher ratio of items that will also be available for Bright Dust. By the end of Season of the Undying, around 50% of Eververse content will have been offered for Bright Dust. In Season of Dawn, we're going to make that around 80% of Eververse content available for Bright Dust at some point during the season. So that's the first note. It's going up by 30%.
But come on, Brian. What do you think about it?
Let's
get out there.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it's stuff that's ever in the Eververse, not like rewardable in the game. You know, like.
Well, here's the next part. Actually, this is more so about your thoughts. The next part. It's more so about those feelings, I would say. We've also heard you say that you want to know what. So this is not this part. The next part, I think. Anyway, we've also heard that you say you want to know what will be offered for silver only so you can plan what you are interested in buying. We agree that providing transparency is vital to making informed decisions. We plan to share on social every week what items will be for silver only during the season as they appear in the Eververse store. Because, yeah, you could totally spend silver on something that is going to be for Bright Dust next week, and you're like, well, crap.
Yeah.
So now you shouldn't have that problem, at least.
Yeah. That is nice.
Transparency is nice. Any thoughts?
I wonder if we should finish reading it all before reacting.
Well, maybe we should, because there's
only a few more paragraphs. It's not too bad.
There's not much
for this.
Bright Dust economy. Seeing as more stuff's going to be available for Bright Dust, what are we doing with Bright Dust? Are you laughing at Tobias?
Yes.
Well, hi.
In Season of the Undying, we changed Bright Dust from a pay and or play to earn currency to a play to earn reward. We want all players to be able to acquire a selection of their favorite Eververse content every season just by playing the game. And we've been keeping an eye on the Bright Dust economy in Season of the Undying with this in mind. In Season of Dawn, all dawning, this is where it gets confusing that we talked about. All dawning weekly and repeatable bounties will award Bright Dust in quantities equal to the amount awarded from Strike, Crucible, and Gambit bounties. So that is 200 per week and 10 per repeatable. During the dawning.
Not the dawn?
Not the
dawn.
whole season, just the 2 or 3 week event of the dawning.
What if I'm a warlock?
And you're playing Dawnblade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncertain.
So it's only dawning repeatable bounties, not say gunsmith repeatable bounties. No.
Dawning, yes.
I was being optimistic.
So 200 per week, 10 for repeatable.
Okay.
Crimson Days will do the same for weekly bounties only, as this event does not include repeatable bounties. So basically, during the Dawning and Crimson Days, you're going to be able to farm Bright Dust a little bit easier, which makes sense considering there's stuff that's going to be in the store.
That's how I feel about that.
It's like, sure. You can't, I mean, if you're really dedicated, you can get like 4,000 a week, but you got to be really dedicated. Super dedicated.
It's just, yeah.
You know, I feel like I get so much less Bright Dust now.
I never thought.
Because you have to put your back into it, Briar. You got to work hard for that dust.
I honestly never thought I'd miss the time when I would just randomly get an engram that would pop into some stuff that I would just dismantle for Bright Dust, but I kind of missed that.
Of course, dude. It's valuable now.
It was just simpler.
That's why
now I have to go pick up these bounties.
All your Bright Dust for the bad juju thing.
Yeah.
That's why. We knew it. We knew it was coming.
Maybe this would be better if I could just go to the director and grab all the bounties from the director, as opposed to having to go to the tower, be like, oh, I forgot this one bounty.
That's
Can
true.
I go to the tower, guys? Or do I want to go back there, you know?
Even then, doing bounties to get Bright Dust, to go to the Eververse store. It was, it was better before because you would just level up and you'd eventually cash in a engram that could be used there.
Yeah. I just feel like the Bright Dust economy right now is like, I know there is ways to get a guaranteed 2,000 or 3,000 per week, right? Is that what it is? Am I correct?
I heard someone say 4,000, but
is it 4,000?
I feel like that's only there temporarily too. I feel like they're gonna cut that water supply off too.
You have
eventually.
to be so dedicated to get that Bright Dust though, and it's not. It's barely enough to get what you would want.
Like, I'm not going to spend my entire Destiny time in just trying to focus on getting Bright Dust, so I can eventually buy things that may or may not be in the Eververse store, and some stuff I'll eventually have to pay actual money for. Like, it's confusing. I don't really care about it. I find myself disconnected with the whole economy right there, that process. If I really want something, then I'll spend money on it. But
Yeah. Speaking of spending money, duplicate purchase prevention, which I thought was a thing already, but I guess
Yeah, I
this
thought that
not.
was in there already. To be
I
honest,
thought it was too.
It shows like a check mark if you have it already,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, but it says
Maybe
the
you can
Eververse
still buy
store
it again though.
no longer permits purchasing an item that's already in your collection. So maybe if you pressed it, even though you had the check mark, it still allowed you to buy it. Whereas now it's like there's a check mark and you cannot buy it. No, stop away from the button.
I actually do think, because I ran into it several times where I was like, wait, I already have this, right? There was no check mark.
Really?
Yeah, and it
Oh,
was,
okay.
I'm pretty sure something had been, now I haven't really looked in a while, but I was like, wait, I
Maybe
own
the
this, right?
checkmark
And
system was just buggy.
yeah, and I
Maybe.
think something was
maybe.
going on there. And I would have to
They're
like
just-
check. I'm like, I do own this. Why is it showing me that I could buy it? So hopefully this fixes whatever that was.
So they're
Yeah,
improving.
they're making it to where you can't buy it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That'd be good. Looking ahead, this is where it gets interesting because I think
Mm-hmm.
that this them recognizing this feedback is important. We've always looked at your feedback, and we're going to keep being open with you on how that feedback is woven into our overall goals for Destiny and for Bungie. As we're planning for future seasons, we're also thinking about the types and themes of content offered through Eververse, as well as the role of cosmetic content as a reward for achievement. We're committed to continually and thoughtfully adjusting the Eververse store to ensure it's a balanced and optional part of the Destiny player experience, while also ensuring that we can support the team creating and evolving Destiny. Please keep giving feedback. So the important part for me was they're thinking about the types and themes of content offered through Eververse, because we've said Iron Banner emote should be in Iron Banner.
Right.
Little mini Sparrow, okay for Eververse.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are able to really lock that down of if it looks like it comes from the raid, it should be in the raid. If it looks like it's from a strike, it should be from the strike.
Yes.
But if it's something silly and ridiculous, then
Honestly, I feel
yeah,
like
put it
they've
in the strike.
taken that advice under consideration and they've stopped developing new Iron Banner and raid gear and just developed more silly stuff to put in the Eververse store.
Yeah,
Potentially.
I get that feedback. I will say I just don't think it's intuitive, and I think that's why it needs the solution you pose, Watts. But I don't have a problem with them having something that look like for Crimson Days or even Iron Banner. I don't mind if there's something additional in the store that is themed during that event that's exclusive. My main issue is still that, and this is where it gets very confusing. They literally are saying twice in this update. How we support Destiny on our own as an evolving world. And that's, one reason they're doing this. And then at the end, they say the same thing, right? With, what do they say?
Support the team creating and evolving Destiny.
Right. Literally, they're saying,
Yo,
we
this
need to
isn't
make
a free-to-play
money just for-
game.
Well, it's not a free-to-play game, right? It has a free-to-play component.
Man, that's the kind of language I expect out of a free-to-play game.
But it's not a free-to-play game.
It's not a free-play game. I've paid probably $200 to play Destiny 2 over the years.
But pieces of it are. But the point I just wanted to make
That's
is,
the piece I play.
we're looking at an Iron Banner. Yeah. We're looking at Iron Banner where they're bringing back old armor. Now, we don't know if there's new weapons, but it just... we're
Eververse
still
will have
in-
new armor.
Yes, and the Empyrean, I think it was Empyrean.
Will
across
Eververse be
all
the only vendor in the tower with new gear again?
It could be, right? And that's exactly what I'm getting at,
Probably.
Briar. I'm like, I
Most
think we're
likely.
running into a problem. Like, I understand you have to support the game. I honestly don't know. Like, meaning if you're telling me, this all translates into a new PvP team, right? We talked about it for half the show. And this is how we get there. I guess I'm more open to it, but at the end of the day, we just don't have enough stuff. And I see too much in the Eververse that I'm like, that'd be cool. And I brought it up last week. I was like, yeah, why don't you have that in your Nightmare hunt or your Nightfall or dungeon or wherever that I'm chasing this? Because otherwise I'm like, I guess it's $10 or I'm going to do these bounties, which I really don't want to do. So I'll just skip it.
Mm-hmm. That's actually how I feel about the discussion with Bright Dust. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I
Right.
get to a point where I'm like, well, I'll just skip it because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as much.
That's the point I'm making. It doesn't matter that it's not only silver. That doesn't solve it for me. It's that it's in the Eververse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do these
Right.
bounties and this grind for this thing, even if it's available later, by the way. They don't even specify that. Some things are timed exclusives, and that's what they're going to try to clear up, I guess, and say this is silver only. And anyway, it needs fixing for sure. I'm glad it's improving a little, but there's a lot in the Eververse
something
store that's
that
cool.
that I wasn't aware of is that 50% was silver only. Was that the first time they mentioned something like that?
I don't know that they've
I
shared
think
that.
it's the first time they mentioned specific numbers for how much is available.
So
yeah.
in Shadowkeep launch, over time, this whole season, it's been 50% has been exclusive to silver, and I didn't realize that. That's a significant amount.
That's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a significant amount of stuff that looks like it could have been drops from things like strikes
And
and
not
dungeons.
earn with Bright Dust.
Right.
Now, is it 20 or 80% is going to be exclusive moving forward?
80% is going to be for Bright Dust.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But
20% exclusive.
20% is just silver.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
That's
Okay.
why I brought up, though, the time stuff. We don't know what that means week to week. Like week 1, it might only be 20%. I mean, I don't know what it really is, but at some point
over the
during
course of
season,
the entire season,
Right, so
eventually 80% will be brought to Bright Dust. But that may be if you're looking for the
Week
you know,
one
the
of the
legs
dawning.
of the armor that you really want, it might only be available the very last week.
That's
Yeah.
right. When you add it all up, it was 80%. But yeah, I think that's where this still is confusing. And
Yeah. To
Again,
me,
I just
it
think-
feels like a massive double dip. You're charging for the game and you're charging for the loot. Like in a looter shooter, I don't believe that Eververse has a place. It just doesn't work.
I think games as a service is something that is really difficult to do. And I think people are crazy for doing it because $10 for 3 months of content is not enough to support all of those teams, all of those people doing all this stuff.
I said it
It isn't
earlier.
enough
I'd
people
happily
play
pay
it,
more money
but-
for
Oh,
the
I know.
season
Yeah, I would as well.
if
I would.
the
I would
Eververse store
gladly,
disappeared. I would gladly pay more
I
money.
would pay. I would gladly pay $30 per season if all the Eververse stuff was in the game.
I think
All of it was earnable in game.
I'm with you guys on this, but I think there's going to be a lot of people in the
They're
YouTube
like,
comments
no.
saying, F that. You
Yeah,
guys
get
are.
Yeah,
this
I
Well,
think
of
at
course.
large.
for sure.
Of course,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't care about the cosmetics at all. So for me, I'd way rather pay $10, not give a crap about the
Exactly.
cosmetics, and let those who want to spend more spend more. You're forced if that were to happen, you'd be forcing the cosmetics down people's throats that
Right.
don't care about
They're
it.
just vanity.
Right. So that's the opposite side. That's the contrast.
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, raising the price of a game is bad for the game almost every time, which is why
Yeah.
you're seeing them trying to walk that. I understand from a hardcore perspective. I got a spicy question. Would you, if there was more?
Give me one
well,
second,
maybe,
guys.
yeah. Would there be a model that you would pay monthly to support Destiny and the teams and pay a subscription at this point?
I don't think the content is consistent enough to support it.
It might be getting there though with the season pass model.
Maybe this
Every
season
3
pass is
months.
light, though,
So
to me.
so every 3 months plus. So say new season every 3 months, which brings what we're seeing is a new PV activity,
New
maybe a new
artifact.
or returning Crucible map, artifact, some
New weapons.
We know what we're getting. That plus the season that's upcoming, the Dawning and Crimson Days. So that's events. It's actually a lot more than other places that charge subscriptions give you.
There's a psychological barrier for me signing up for a subscription service, knowing that I'm just going to be charged kind of like I'm not buying something, I'm renting it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
If I would rather
Well, I
go
mean,
buy a
yeah.
DVD or buy a movie on iTunes than give somebody like Disney Plus $5 a month,
Mm-hmm.
because I am signing a contract to just continue to pay you money
Right.
like
And- but-
forever.
yeah.
I don't think a subscription would work. Just in the modern gaming times.
I
don't
think it'd be
practically
really hard to
doing it.
switch over too. Like people are used to buying this game, to
They
have
are.
them switch over to a subscription model.
Yeah, they are. But
I
what I
think it'd be
meant
really
by that
hard.
is to start, because once you start to get a recurring base of subscribers, you get it's a little more reliable at like what you're going to do over the next year versus this month. They're still living, I think, quarter to quarter. They're like literally right now. I think, all right, how's this new free to play season pass thing going to work for us?
Yeah.
And what I was getting at is you're almost paying $2.99 a month, right? If you buy a year of seasonal content. So I'm not talking about paying for Destiny, Shadowkeep, and all that. I'm talking about the seasonal content. So you pay, what was it, $35-$40 for Shadowkeep, and then you're paying $30 for the full year of seasonal content. Is that right? I think. But $30 by 12 is about $250, so you're almost $299 a month already. I actually think they're moving towards maybe that someday. Right now, we're not seeing that with a lot of these games. I don't know that that's the model. It's just that meaning the store being the source of income. If we could somehow get away from that, in other words, right? That's why I asked it. Like, imagine you're just a subscriber, the store no longer exists.
Specific to Destiny, the fact that it's a store in a looter shooter, though, isn't it? It's like it's so specifically in Fortnite. I don't have a problem that there's a store because the goal of Fortnite is not to collect loot.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
In Destiny, it's a much more specific problem because it's so.
You're
it feels
chasing
like
loot.
directly taking away from the point of the game.
Everything in the Ever store has a potential to be earned in the game. Like that's why it feels like an issue. Like all those things could technically be drops.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because vanity is important in the game as well. Because sometimes we do that. Like, I just want the armor because the roll's gonna suck. So you are chasing the vanity.
I'd I'd be interested in how much more difficult or more time consuming, if at all, it is to attach loot to a drop in a certain activity than to put it in the store. I'd actually really like to ask that question because I know that if you have obviously a drop associated with a quest, that's a lot more work. You have to write the lore, you have to do the quest. Like obviously that's a lot more than putting it in the store. But if you attach it to a strike drop, is it more work to code that than to just code it into the store? I don't know. It's something I'd be interested in asking.
My answer is fix
What
it.
if it was like,
So
what if
easy.
Zavala got a
I
refresh,
know.
though? And what if Shaq's got a refresh?
Yeah,
you know?
I know. Like that. God forbid you go to Iraq Jalal or somebody again and go pick up some new stuff. But
I mean, I would love that. It's just when I'm looking at $10 and we're getting a full slew of Saint 14 weapons, the Cyrus weapons coming back with, we assume, random rolls, a 6 activity, 3 new exotics, exotic armor we don't know about. All of that is technically earnable in game. How much more are we? I just don't know how they would even do a vendor refresh unless they had like the season of vendor refresh, where that's literally all you got.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love it, and I'm definitely not saying like it's okay for it not to happen because I think that it would inject, honestly, probably more playtime than this new 6-man activity. If they put like new Crucible weapons and new Crucible armor in Shax's inventory, that's a lot more replayability, personally, that you can just go in Crucible and grind out whole new armor and new weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough.
It's a difficult problem for Destiny in particular. I feel
It is. It is.
yeah, I think it is just to go back to it though. Is like they do kind of spell out, and we're seeing it though. Like we need more money. We want to have resources to support this game, and they're not able, I think, to say what I think's going on, which is right. They're working on this next gen Destiny, whether that means Scarlet. I just mean the next Destiny, whatever it is. Meanwhile, they got to support this, and they got to make it freaking as best as possible. But with the teams they have, meanwhile, your PvP team is now split, doing a bunch of things, and how they've gone through this since day one. And it's like, who's doing what? When's it going to be done? We've saw, Luke said last year too, they pushed team too hard, and they're trying to be a little more reasonable this season. But they've got, in other words, more money does mean bigger teams. Look what Fortnite is able to do. And so I'm all for it when you have enough content. But that's why I brought up, like, are there other solutions than just figuring out this percentage in the Eververse? Like, I'm almost ready for, like I said, a new line of revenue. Because if it means, right, trials and new content, like, I'll pay the $2.99 a month to just support it as a fan. I know it seems crazy, but you know what I mean? There's something about going to the store and looking at an item for $10. I'm like, can't do it.
Yeah.
Or $10 a month
I don't know.
subscription.
Yeah.
It's not an easy problem to solve. I haven't seen like a better version of this for a looter shooter.
Yeah. That's the problem, is the competition's not, they're doing so much for free. So how is Destiny, it was a very high polished game, gonna do it?
Well, I mean, even Anthem got it super wrong, where the only way to get new armor was to buy it in a store, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, they fixed that with a later season.
Right.
Okay.
So I've said in the past, I'll say it again. I really think that They just have to draw a distinct line of what makes sense to go in Eververse, which is things that are just not in the universe of Destiny.
Yep.
So it's crazy
I agree.
and weird. Like
Yep.
eating ramen as an emote, I think, is a great example of that. The beach ball stuff, it's a great example. The mini micro, it's like there's no reason to look like a Titan on like a little mini micro on a sparrow. It just it doesn't make sense.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
The only sparrow that my Titan rides.
It's hilarious. And it makes sense in a summer event for us in reality, but doesn't make sense in the Destiny universe where you're a monster killing machine. For me, that's the distinction. And I guess that's that's the problem, is that there's a lot of gray area, and somebody has to go in and really analyze what makes sense to sell versus put into the lore and put into the game as drops. So
there's always going to be that line's going to be super hard to tread.
It is hard. It is really hard unless you go very, very, very silly, just Destiny lore. But I do think that if people went in the Eververse store and they didn't see a ship that looked like it was from the raid, they wouldn't be like, well, this should have been in the raid. Because if they just go in and they see a bunch of silly stuff, they can just be like, all right. And then the raid has a ship.
If I see an actual yellow school bus as a ship, I am okay that I'd have to pay actual money for that.
Yeah.
I want the Winnebago from
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
I would pay money for that. And I'd be like,
I don't like
I might pay money for that, honestly.
I'm like curmudgeon about it. I hate seeing like sports fan stuff, and I know some people love it, but this touchdown emote stuff, Guardians doing it, I'm like,
some sort of Seahawks
I don't
thing.
want to see this stuff. But you make a good point. Like, it's too close to what is, or it is stuff that would be designed for the game, which puts Briar, you always sort of actually eloquently hit on. Like, it's very confusing, and why is it there? And I started to think about when you said it, I'm like, is there almost too much stuff in the Eververse? Like, would it be better if there was only, like, not that much, but it was pretty exclusive and cool? Then, like, meaning, let's take that 80% and just put it in
weekly
the
rotation.
There's only these 20% things, and like, maybe it was just that Iron Banner Axe emote, but magically Iron Banner had all the stuff you wanted as well. Then I think we'd be like, yeah, sure, if somebody wants that, I don't care. And it's more exclusive. You know where it came from. But yeah, I got to tell you, I go into orbit sometimes. I'm like, was that from the Whisper of the Worm mission, or is that an exotic Eververse ship? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It happens.
Guys, I feel like we have expired the Eververse conversation. I'm going to get sick if I hear Eververse one more time tonight.
My bad, yeah.
That's true. It's been a lot.
We're kind of at the end of the show here, right?
Yeah, we're running overtime.
Yeah, before we get to Twitter questions, I just want to go really quick how the update's going to roll out. It is going to be 10 a.m. It's not going to be 9 a.m. that it's available, because obviously reset is at 9 a.m. now. So I'm sure a lot of people assumed it would be 9, but it is 10 a.m. Pacific that Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are back online on all platforms, and Season of Dawn begins.
Sweet.
Cool.
There you go.
Good call.
Yeah, we are running overtime, so we better pick some choice.
Rapid fire? Either rapid fire or pick very carefully.
Rapid fire.
Unfortunately, I have like 8 pages of questions. So like,
Okay, rapid fire. Let's go.
Negralo says, how does Jake feel about the fact that Bungie's renewed focus on PvP is a meme already?
I mean, I feel like we kind of already touched on that earlier. I wouldn't say it's a meme. It's more maybe going to be focused on Season 10, which is still upcoming. I'm optimistic.
Then we riot.
We riot next season if it's not being touched on. I'm optimistic, and I think we still have plenty to look forward to.
Justin Porden says, if Bungie ever finds a way to add crossplay, do you think it'd be fair to have it enabled in Crucible?
Yes, for new consoles.
New consoles,
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
The game is so completely different that they would need the frames and the FOV to be matching more to make the metas match more. The metas don't function the same at all, and I don't see how that could work out.
Yeah.
I think that if you opt into a shared Crucible experience, I think it'd be fine. Like if Jake's playing on PC and I'm playing on Xbox, and we decide, you know what, I just want to play with my buddy, I don't care where we're playing, then we both get added to a pool in the PC environment, and I've opted into playing on my Xbox in a PC environment, and what happens. But allowing people to play together, I think, is more important than trying to protect. And Call of Duty is doing it right now, and they're doing it that way, and I think it's working out pretty well.
I want a Stadia playlist that I can exclusively hop into and practice.
And go try and play Crucible in Stadia. It's like it doesn't happen.
tried.
There's
I've not
nobody
been able
there.
to yet.
Yeah. There's nobody there.
Uh-oh. Rapid
Let's see here.
Briar.
Rapid Briar.
We're gonna have an audio smash on each one of those. Yeah.
Joe Boy says, "Do you think we'll ever go back and experience historic battles like Six Fronts or Twilight Gap?"
As a standalone mobile game, yes. There we go. That's what they're gonna do. Play the history of Destiny mobile.
Cool.
Rapid Briar.
I severely do not want time travel added to Destiny, because as soon as you add time travel, you have no stakes ever, because you can always undo everything.
Cade's coming back.
I was gonna
Like,
ask,
we're
aren't they
undoing
doing that
things.
right now?
We're-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of doing
basically.
that.
But this is a
You
very
just got your
specific
wish.
thing. Osiris specifically built to save his friend Saint 14, not the entire world.
Right.
It's different.
Sundial only works. It's only
It only
designed.
works for Saint 14.
Yep.
And then I guess Osiris gets killed and he can't build another one is what really is gonna happen.
Oh
So-
boy.
Dredging Calcium
That's how they
95
take away
said-
trials forever. Osiris is
Oh,
dead, guys. Don't know what to do.
Oh no.
Whoops.
Don't you dare.
Trials of the Vanguard. Dredging Calcium says, with the PS5 coming out next year, do you think the current version of Destiny 2 gets carried over, or does the PC version gets ported over but input locked for controller only?
We answer
I
something
don't
like
think-
this every week.
I don't think
Uh,
that's how it works.
Yeah, I don't think it's how it works. I think the architecture is a lot closer nowadays with the current consoles and next gen consoles to an actual PC. So they're most likely building the same stuff and working on what they have to turn on and off for that stuff. Yeah. As opposed
short
to
answer is
It's
you
probably
can't
just, I think it's
copy
just a
over.
60 FPS wider field of view button and they just press it. So it's fine.
they just press it. Exactly.
If they're working on this, I mean, they're always going to work with a base code, and certainly they would
Exactly.
work with a PC code as a base, which is probably what they did for Stadia. But like, it's still a ton of work, especially for new gen consoles with all these new standards and all the interface stuff and online and friendsless. And it's actually way more work, I'd say, than just like, let's say you're porting a PC version, for next year to something.
Yeah, but honestly, I think the term port is like very dated at this point. Because
It wouldn't be
Yeah.
a port.
yeah.
That's just what we
Keith,
get it.
Keith says, if you could have a real lightsaber, what color blade would it be? We've actually gotten a chance to
Yeah.
do that.
I
recently.
played, Jedi Fallen Order. I
Indigo.
picked purple.
What color? You went purple?
Yeah.
I did
I
Indigo.
started with purple, and then I
Ooh,
changed it to
Indigo.
pink.
Pink's nice
Pink.
too.
Yeah, pink's pretty good.
Pink lasers.
Orange.
Pretty good.
Those are good.
I'm going orange for sure.
Orange was
Orange?
sweet.
Absolutely.
Pretty good. Tomcat and Sock says, everyone knows Jake loves carrots. He's even got a carrot tattoo. What is everybody's favorite vegetable? You really have a carrot tattoo? Did you just show it while I was
It's
reading?
right
Your
there.
Hefty needs one of those.
Carrot tattoo?
Yeah,
Or a
you and your
pumpkin.
carrots, your healthy carrot snacks.
That's true. I do like eating
Carrot
carrots during stream every now and then.
Excuse me, that's my thing.
Every
Carrots
now
are
and
delicious
then.
until you cook them, and then they suddenly become disgusting.
You cook them in honey. There you go.
That honey just is good.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a cheat code.
It's like
for
cooking
everything.
in butter. Well, now it's butter.
Yeah.
And-
Well, butter
Or
is good,
garlic.
yeah.
This is a garlic way of getting garlic into my stomach. Yeah, carrot.
Wait, so where was this question going?
What's your favorite vegetable?
Carrots. What the hell? Is there a
Yeah.
is it second
That's
favorite?
it. That's
Like-
it. It's pretty
your
simple,
favorite
man.
vegetable?
What
Well,
if
for everybody.
a famine hit and killed off all the carrots? What would be your second favorite vegetable?
Whew, man, dude, this is tough. I can't answer this. Kale. Let's go with kale. No one likes
no.
I
kale.
like
Nobody's
kale.
favorite
I
vegetable.
hate kale, so
I
I'm
like
going with
kale.
kale.
You like
Kale
the taste
chips?
of kale.
Yeah,
Ew.
Do you make kale chips?
Actually, kale chips are
yeah.
good.
Kale chips are good.
False.
Yeah, salt is good.
False. Yeah. Kale chips are good because of the seasoning and the salt.
You know what, I'm
But,
going
but
olives.
regular kale's good too.
Olives,
choosing olives.
Great choice.
I love olives.
I like sweet potatoes.
I don't know if those are a vegetable.
Sweet
or not,
potatoes
though.
are also
Sweet
good.
potato is a vegetable.
I like
Oh
tomatoes.
no, I was talking about the
Oh,
olives.
okay. I was about to say, but that's definitely a
fruit.
vegetable.
Yeah, I have no
Fuck
idea.
Sweet
you and your
potatoes are
fruity
fruit.
tomato.
I love sweet potatoes. Yeah, I have
Tomatoes are
some.
delicious.
I'm having some tonight.
Yeah.
You can have them on
Hint.
pasta, pizza. This is hardly even a vegetable, really, if you think about it.
Yeah. Listen, I like kale too. I like it blended with a bunch of fruit in a smoothie. It's delicious.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Banana.
It's got to have something
That's the
else.
only
I just
way
like
it's
cooked
tolerable.
kale.
Blandy McBlanderson says, it has been found that over 162,000 pints of Guinness Irish Stout are wasted every year because they are trapped in people's beards.
What?
Wow.
This is our
What are the
community.
members of DCP doing to mitigate this tragic waste?
What do you
This
do?
is not a
Mike?
waste.
Trim. Very
I
often.
object to the question. This is not a waste. This is a feature of the beard. The Guinness is not wasted. It is
Savored?
to be savored at a later
It's
date.
enriching it. It's enriching
Yes.
the beard.
Oh,
Right?
yes,
it's
yes,
a
yes.
treatment. It's a beard treatment.
It's like oil treatment. Yeah. Guinness
also
oil.
aerates it, and so you get the aromas from the beer better if you didn't
Yeah.
have the beard.
When you take that big first sip of a beard, like the foam is in your beard, and everybody thinks, oh, look, that guy's got foam in his beard. Actually, that second experience of that first sip of beard is just waiting for you to lick it off.
It's
and
just-
it's just as enjoyable as the first
God.
sip, to be
Just
honest.
second beard. Or it's second beer.
Second sip.
Right.
Yeah.
Second sip, yeah.
Beard.
Let's see here. Dreadnought says you're a supervillain in a video game, but instead of world domination and tyranny, your goal is to annoy the hell out of everyone in the world. How would you do it?
I turn.
Stories.
Oh, Scratch is not a bad idea.
Just put on stories. I'm good.
That's not a
Oh.
bad idea. I
We've answered.
have a superpower that turns everyone into Fran, and we're constantly playing Sea of Thieves.
We're always late.
We're always late, disorganized, while also puking on him.
Whoa.
That would
What?
be annoying.
I think
for
you
me.
nailed it.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
I'm
no
not following
I think I
that.
get that. I'm being annoyed by
Fran's,
you, right?
Fran's a frantic Fran.
Okay.
He's just a little
well,
frantic.
you're also intentionally crashing the ship and barfing on me. I don't really know that I'm frantic
That's
so
called
much as
fun.
literally knowing what's
Yeah.
That's
happening.
the pirate life.
I'm
Pri-
aware.
The
Yeah.
pirate fun life. Fun living on the seven seas. Whereas
Counting.
Fran takes it as annoying, which is very strange.
Just very serious when it comes to trying to get those treasure boxes.
That's what
Oh,
makes it
yes.
so much fun to play with
Alright.
you, to be honest with you.
This is why it's great.
Oh,
Dreadnought says, what's a lie that you've told that's gotten ridiculously out of hand that you kept building on and now it's part of your life?
Oh, Briar's got one of these. All right, tell.
That's right. I've never actually played Destiny. And, man, I've just been going with it for like 5 years now.
Mine's gonna have to be that I'm Hunter main, and I just continue to tell people that I'm a Hunter main. When honestly, deep down inside, I love the smelly smell of a Warlock piss pool that just
You
happened.
love Oh, nasty.
I actually despise carrots. They're disgusting.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mohegan 9 says, is the top of the refrigerator a shelf?
Yeah, it can be.
My cabinet blocks it, so no.
Only if you put something on it, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
It becomes a shelf. It's not until you put something on it.
Yes.
At my house, any flat surface is a shelf, and it drives me fucking crazy. It's like any flat surface, people just put shit on it, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, I wanted to open the fridge door, and now there's like stuff on top of the door.
I put my cereal boxes up there.
Oh,
It's a good spot for it.
'em. Yeah.
I feel like it's long-term parking for stuff. You know,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be
Yeah. I
that.
have something. I have like a painting up there. I haven't touched in a long time. It's probably very dusty.
painting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Strange location to store a painting.
Well, it leans against something, so it stands up. on
Yeah.
top of it.
Oh, it's not
Makes
just
sense.
laying flat.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a decoration. Okay, I get it.
Deck.
All right.
Ian Ferris says, been asking for weeks. This is the last question of the night. Are we bunching or folding the TP?
Oh,
Fold.
yeah, fold. I
Fold.
think-
Fold.
Yeah.
And then if
Fold.
you're clean and precise enough, you can fold a second time.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
It's like if you're really saving,
Or you
Yeah.
just took too much
Yeah.
toilet paper.
you're
Let's
just
be
taking too much.
Well, no,
Yeah.
you take two squares, you fold.
Yeah.
You do one side of it. If it's a clean enough wipe, you can fold again. You just got to be careful and precise. Okay, this is where precision really comes into play.
Yeah. You better be precise when you're
I
down
agree
there,
with you.
right?
I'm not willing to take that kind of risk. I don't have that kind of confidence in the structural integrity of my toilet paper.
It's the toilet paper you're concerned about.
You don't have
That's
the confidence.
Everyone just needs to buy a bidet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
That's what I was about
The
to say.
bidet
What if
from
you just have a
Apple.
bidet?
Yeah.
Can it hook up to Robot Lady so he can say, Alexa, wash my ass? And she'll be like,
Yeah, you'd have
Wow.
to say, "Hey Siri."
oh, I don't know. I want to know her.
It's got.
Oh, I
beveled
thought you meant like a
chamfered
real
edges.
like robot.
Hey Siri.
I can't say her name. She's listening.
You have to be like, "Hey Siri, give me the extra wash today." On
Like
the
a
iBidet.
female C-3PO that comes in. Oh my, oh dear.
It doesn't use water because they've got courage.
Yeah, it has like bidet like fingers. Never mind.
oh boy.
Wow.
There's some other uses happening there.
She's just there to like clean you up. That's all. Weirdos.
Clean you up.
That's right.
Interesting way to
Yeah.
describe it.
If we didn't get
Fascinating.
your question tonight, we went long on the Destiny talk. If we didn't get to your question tonight, it's not a reflection on your question. We just ran short of time. If
Ask it again.
you really want to, ask it again next week. We'll try and do a longer Q&A next week, but we had so much to talk about this week.
Yep.
We did.
Sorry about that.
And next week will be nothing. So
Yeah.
it'll be an empty week.
Probably.
Well, that was quite the show tonight, guys.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Absolutely.
Solid.
Jake, thank you very much for being
Great
on
ending.
again, man. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was great. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah. Where can people find you on the web?
So if you go to twitch.tv/GernaderJake, that's spelled GernaderJake. Jake. I'm live 6 days of the week. It is my full-time thing. We've got a very welcoming community there. So if you're new, just pop in and say hey. We'll probably recognize you and say hey right back. I do some fun things there, and I would definitely appreciate anybody stopping by and saying hello.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Fran?
You can find me right here on Twitch at FM3_. But if you just search for FM3, easy to find.
Briar.
You can find me converting a Ford van into a moving apartment. Hashtag van life.
Have you thought about making your
I'm gonna look
weekly
for that now.
adventures into a vlog channel?
Oh
Yeah.
wow, what a great idea.
Briar vlogs. That would be entertaining. Briar does some
Yeah.
wild stuff.
What did he almost burn down this week?
It's Ferrari Friday tomorrow. I can't wait for the update. Man.
Exactly.
We are currently driving north of Philadelphia. No relation to the fires.
Briar's van vlogs. I love it. That's what we need. I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Awesome. And I am Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. Thank you very much for watching tonight, guys. Appreciate all you guys, whether you're watching live via Twitch or catching the YouTube stream or YouTube VOD or catching our podcast stuff. I'm at a loss for words for some reason right now.
We talk about things on the internet, and if you look for any of us, you might find it. It's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for all the support across the board, guys. Really appreciate it. We will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.